Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the BF Tailgate live on the Buffalo Fanatics Multicast Network. I am your host, at least for the 6 o'clock hour, Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. I'm the voice of the Overreaction Podcast, and I'm joined right now by my guy Clay to my left. How are you, Clay?
I'm doing good. Excited.
And Z-Bot below us. What's going on, Z-Bot?
What up, Joe? Excited is an understatement, man. This is going to be a fun night.
Dude, I'm a big primetime like football for the Bills fan. I know there's a lot of Bills Mafia that doesn't like it, but it sounds like Z-Bot's like already spent half the day screaming. Like, have you already spent half the day screaming?
Yeah, well, I saw you tweeted that earlier. You got a little crap for it, but I'm in the same boat as you are, man. I woke up this morning. My eyes haven't even blinked since. That's how excited I am. And like you, prime time for me isn't that what we all want? I know we're used to the 1 p.m. I know we're used to the status quo. Let's get used to Bills on prime time because it's here and it's here to stay, I think. So fun stuff.
I agree. And we're all excited to be here with you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining in. So first things first, if you have not ever joined BF for a live tailgate or any of our live shows, you have the opportunity to control the content. You get to comment, you get to chat. We want your interaction. The best thing you can do is jump over to YouTube and subscribe to Buffalo Fanatics and jump in the chat there, because if you're trying to get our attention, the comments are going to roll. They're going to roll fast. If you super chat us, it's going to get our attention. We're going to see it. Super chatters get priority. But welcome in everybody that's here. It's football Monday. Like it's the Bills are about to go down with the San Francisco 49ers. Or, I'm sorry. Yes. In Arizona. I almost called them the Arizona 49ers. How about that? How are you guys feeling about this football game? Clay, how are you feeling about this game?
I feel pretty good. I mean, a lot of the people in national media are talking about, it's going to be a game in the trenches. And if that is the case, then that would make me the most worried is if it really is a game in the trenches, just because, the Cardinals the Cardinals,
right?
Arizona
it's a mind bend, dude. It's a mind bend.
Yeah. The Arizona 49ers have a really good run game. So, Kyle Shanahan is a really good offensive coordinator. I'm sure he's got a great scheme that he's going to have. But Josh Allen in primetime, I think, is where he likes to shine the most. It hasn't been the case so far this season, but both of those games were weird situations, and also both of those teams were the guys that were in the AFC Championship game last year. So, it's not like they were bad teams, and I think it's a kind of good chance for him to really prove himself this year and prove that the Bills are here to stay.
Yeah, how you feeling, Z?
You know what, man? I'm nervous every time. No, I don't care if we're playing the Jets. I don't care if we're playing the Steelers next week, Niners tonight. I always have the butterflies. Although tonight, the weird thing for me, I put a lot of stake in what Vegas has to think. I really do. They know things that we don't. And the Bills opened up -3. That has swung 5 points up until tonight. The Niners are -2. The shocking thing about this, the Bills just opened up as +2 underdogs to the Steelers. Vegas looks at this game as an identical matchup to the Steelers as of next week. So what does that say, at least from a perspective of a multi-billion-dollar company who wins a lot more than they lose? They're saying this game's going to be really close. They're saying that what they've seen out of the 49ers as of late, despite being under Nick Mullens, which you and I, Joe, have talked about, that doesn't mean much. It doesn't really matter who's playing quarterback right now for the Niners. They seem to be doing a decent job. He's throwing the ball 35 times or more in every one of his starts, and he's averaging around 270 yards. So for me, the biggest key tonight, the Bills and the ability to stop the run. If the Bills can keep Mullens throwing the ball all game, not let them get the advantage on the run, it goes in the Bills' favor. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a close one, as like all Bills games are anymore. It just seems to come down to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that about the national media, or I'm sorry, about the sports bettors, because to me, they kind of fit in there with the national media. Early on, there was a lot of heavy betting towards the Bills, and there's a lot of rumors out there that they started to slide that line to get the betting over to the Niners. So I'm not a big sports better guy. Maybe you know more about it than I do, Clay, but there's an aspect of like, I don't know what's going on, because we can start here with this betting stuff, because when you look at, there was a statistic that went out earlier this week. I talked about it on my show today. When teams have had to move to neutral fields, the likelihood of them winning, the home team, has been very, very poor. The Bills are one of the few that have done it in that November game that went to Detroit, and I was actually at that game. It's not likely. You're also talking, imagine, and I tried to say this on my show today, imagine the Bills having to play a game in New Jersey or like in New England, and how weird that would be for them. Yes, there's a little bit of familiarity with sight lines just because they play there every single year, but it's not going to be the same as it is for a visiting team just to come into the stadium, because that's how the visiting team prepares. You prepare to go to the stadium and you go. Not to mention, the Bills were just there like 3 weeks ago. So there's going to be some serious familiarity. So I don't know how much stock I put into Vegas. I know Vegas wins more than it loses, and sometimes it makes me wonder if some of this stuff is scripted, but just like,
No
I don't
doubt.
know.
Sometimes.
So Clay, what are your thoughts on the bettors?
I'm not too much of an expert. I don't
Me
really
either.
do a lot of betting myself, but I mean, yeah, like Zach said, they know what they're doing. And perhaps they were trying to move more bets over to the 49ers, make it a little more enticing for those. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole line moving is weird. It's a neutral location. And so I think that's kind of weird that they started out in one direction and now the below 500 49ers are favored against, an 8-3 Bills team. It's really weird to me. I don't understand it. So I can't imagine what's going through their minds and what made them pick that number. But
yeah, and it's interesting because I have to, and Vegas knows better than anybody. To Zach's point, Vegas knows all these teams better than anybody does. However, there's still so much national media that doesn't have a clue about this football team, about the Buffalo Bills and what's going on. And it's to the point where it's like, it's just, I'm not over it. I'm over it. I don't know how to say it any other way than that. I mean, when you just see whether it's Robert Saleh and his comments saying that, the Bills basically run the Wildcat, and it's like, what football team are you watching? Because we do not run the Wildcat. And then just some of the comparisons he made. There's some other stuff too, but it's just, I'm just tired of it. And I think that's why I'm excited for this game. I think the Bills, to Zach's point, if they can stack and tackle, and if they can allow Josh Allen to come out and do Josh Allen things, this game has the potential to be 45-3, in my opinion. I don't think the 49ers have what it takes. I think Nick Mullens is a wild card about. He's going to complete passes. He's at 67%, I think is what he's completing at. He's going to complete his passes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, it's going to be a lot of dink and dunk stuff. He's a screen machine, like most NFC West teams. Clay, you and I talked about it last week on the Hump Day Hotline. But I just think it's clutch, and getting Milano back is going to be big. He's going to be on a pitch count. The question is how much. Zach, talk for a second just how much you think that Milano is going to potentially affect this football game.
Well, here's my thought on the whole thing. I think Milano coming back is in a weird time right now. Hasn't played since week 8. And just when everybody thought, how are we gonna win without Matt Milano on the defensive side of the ball? What happens? The Bills all of a sudden hit stride on D, maybe play their 3 best defensive games in succession. No argument that the game against the Chargers was definitely their best defensive performance. Not only that, but you have AJ Klein winning the AFC Defensive Player of the Week last week. So a very odd time for Milano to come back, because now all of a sudden it seems, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it seems that it might be okay to have him on a snap count and it doesn't bite the Bills. We don't necessarily have to rely on a banged up Matt Milano, who we all know cannot stay healthy. And it's very unfortunate because when he is healthy, he's one of the best to do it. The unfortunate reality, obviously, is that he's constantly injured, but the luxury to be able to come back, I guess, in this situation, have Klein play the way he is, have the defense hitting stride. I don't think he plays more than half the snaps. I think it depends on how the game goes. If we see a regression in Klein or whatever, I mean, the inner workings of McDermott and the rest of the staff as far as who gets the snaps when seems to be a complete toss-up. So we'll see what the strategy is there. But I would expect him to probably get less than half the snaps throughout the duration of the game.
Yeah, Clay, what do you think? How do you think this game is going to shake out between AJ and Matt?
I think I kind of agree with that. I think it's going to be a work him back in situation, get his feet wet a little bit because AJ Klein is playing well and has been playing well for the past few weeks. So, I think that they know now where they've seen AJ Klein succeed in certain aspects of the game. They're going to use him in those situations where they feel like the offense is going to run a play where he can succeed, or, if they're running some kind of stunt where AJ Klein can get into the backfield, then they're going to run that play with him in there since he's familiar and he has been performing. And then, some of those third down plays, the third and long plays, more of a pass set. You'll probably see Milano in there because he's more the pass protection guy who can actually drop back and cover a little bit better than Klein can. I'm really worried about the open field tackling in general. And I think Matt Milano is the best open field tackler on the team. AJ Klein has showed that he can do it. He wasn't great before, but he's shown that he can at least keep the guy in front of him until help is there. Yeah. I think that's going to be a really big, key. Like you said, they don't really throw very far. So it's a lot of the yards that you'll see in the stat book from Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Those are yards after catch. It's a little pass, and these guys are, getting in space and making a play out of something. So that's going to be my biggest thing to watch out for is those guys in the open space.
Yeah, you touched on so many good points, whether it's just AJ Klein and how much he's improved, and his lines have improved. So, like, his pursuit lines have improved. The big thing for me, and we've talked about it, you and I, Clay, and I've talked about it on the show, and I've talked about it here and there, is just the fact that McDermott defenses, traditionally, at least as the Bills go, have not been great tackling defenses. However, they've had pockets and moments where they focused on stacking and tackling. A guy getting his hands on somebody, slowing him up enough to let the next guy and the second guy or the third guy come in and get him. It's going to be important. And, Tremaine Edmonds been healthy. We've seen just the dividends that has paid. And I believe, and I think you guys probably would too, that has helped AJ Klein, Tremaine being healthy. And obviously Ed Oliver doing, he's, as much as he's out of position in that one defensive tackle position, he's beginning to maybe understand and feel what his role is a little better. And it's opening up some other stuff too. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. There's 135 people in the room right now. Again, welcome in. Jump on the like button, smash the like button, subscribe, become a member of Buffalo Fanatics. We appreciate you guys being in here, and comment. We got our first super chat, and this is from Eric. Eric, thanks for being a part of the show. Appreciate the preview show with great content, guys, besides the national media BS. Allen Beasley, all day, 15 targets, which will open up Diggs, 33-16. When do you guys take that one?
For me, that should be the game plan every game. Target Beasley early, because the past few games it kind of feels like he doesn't really get a target until the second half, and by the time that happens, it's like, well, oh my God, now we're suffering on the offensive side, and we actually need to get him involved because we can't do anything else. Get him involved earlier, right, and it'll open up everything else. There was a very good point that it'll open up other things, because when you throw to Beasley, it's a short route for the most part. He can run those over routes really well too. But, it's not going to be too long of a pass. It's going to keep the ball short. It's going to bring everybody up a little bit. And then all of a sudden you've got Stephon Diggs or Gabriel Davis running over the top. Maybe Isaiah McKenzie thrown in there a little bit. That's what you really need to do. You need to get everybody to come in and realize that we're okay with playing the short game, and it'll open up the long game.
Zach, how much does missing John Brown and I know it sounds like a softball question, but it shouldn't. So when I ask you, how much is John Brown missing from this football game going to affect this offense? We're at the point where John Brown, smoke being out of this offense, the Bills should be able to overcome that, right? There's an aspect of like, okay, we've played without him long enough that we can find a rhythm without him, much like the defense did. The defense got to the point without Milano where it was like, okay, we can find a rhythm without Milano. We know how to do this. How much is it going to affect tonight not having smoke in this offense?
Well, you'd think by now that they would have gotten to the point where they are used to playing without him. Luckily, I think we saw stripes of it against the Chargers, at least better than what I've seen out of the Bills without John Brown prior to that game. The capabilities are there, but let's talk about what we were just harping on, and it's Cole Beasley. Without John Brown, what do defenses do to the Bills that works? They take away the top. They do not allow anything down the field. They are going to force Josh Allen to do something that he doesn't necessarily like to do, and that's make the easy throw. Allen, as we know, wants to make the big play every chance he gets. I think he did that a ton against the Chargers last week. I think the reason for that, and I think you might have touched on this, Joe, I'm not sure, but the more that they seem to run the ball, the less Allen throws, the more he feels like he's got to do something with every single opportunity that he gets. Tonight, I think it'll be a bit different. I don't think they're going to run the ball nearly as much because I just don't think it'll be as effective against the Niners as it might have been against the Chargers. But without John Brown, the defense will definitely play closer to the line, will take away that over-the-top ball. That's where Cole Beasley thrives. So back to the Super Chat. Should Beasley have 15 targets tonight and every game that we watch? 100%, because we know it works. He's got some of the most sure hands you could possibly find in the intermediate game. And people forget Josh Allen is one of the best intermediate throwers of the football when he actually throws that route. That's the key. Will Allen make that look? Will he make that read and throw that ball as opposed to doing, flashes of other things we've seen? I think tonight it's going to be all about the Bills not beating themselves on offense. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. The Niners are decimated at the cornerback position. One of their nickel corners are down to their fourth string corner. It's going to be really tough to contain these guys. Beasley, though, look for him to have a big game. It's going to be a huge impact if they get him the ball.
Richard Sherman is back. He came back last weekend. But the reality is if what Salah's comments, if that's what they do, if they think this is a wildcat offense and the Bills are going to run the ball like Carroll did, God, please go man up. play the defense, the run, and go man on Josh Allen, he might have 500 yards tonight. I mean, like literally. Scott Van Loo, welcome into the show. Thank you for the super chat. I know we're talking about Matt Milano and his contracts coming up, maybe with a cap if we can resign him. But with the season Josh Allen's having, don't you think he deserves a big payday? Because I think his contract's almost up as well. Take that one for me, Clay.
Yeah, so Josh Allen still has one more year left at the 4-year. He's going to have his 5th-year option on that as well, which I'm assuming the Bills. What was that?
They're going to ink it.
Yes, I'm assuming they're going to want to take that because that'll be a steal for a 5th year there. And so, a couple more years, and we're going to have to get him re-signed. So it is time to start thinking about it when you're signing these guys for the future. Matt Milano, if you get him signed to a contract, you've got to make sure that injury clause is very well written because I don't know if I believe in it, but I know other people do. Availability is the best ability. And I think that is the case with Matt Milano because, when he's in, it's fantastic. And the defense is, a completely different team. But when, he has to be out there in order for it to work. So I do think that it's kind of time with all these guys' contracts. I don't think we'll see another John Brown contract after this. He's got 2 years left. Cole Beasley's got 3 left. We're not going to see, and these guys are old too. So I know someone else said it in the comments as well. Gabriel Davis is going to have to step up into that role, and the Bills are going to have to start getting even more frugal than they've been when they're signing these guys, because within those next 2 years, Josh is probably going to get a pretty big payday.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was literally thinking about this. I was driving to work yesterday, and as much as all of us probably do, we think about just the content and things we're going to talk about. And I was just thinking to myself, John Brown's got 1 more year left. Do we re-sign him? And then I was like thinking about Beasley, and it's the same thing. I'm like, these guys are older, but I think there's still gas in the tank, especially for a guy like Beasley. Like, I don't know that when it would. I'm not saying like 3 more years or 4 more years, but to tack on another year or another 2 for these guys that want to be here and these guys that are super productive. But at the same time, you've got, like you said, Gabriel Davis coming up. Isaiah Hodgins hasn't even seen the field yet. Like, we don't even know what we have in that kid. So it'll be interesting to see. But to Scott's point, and Scott, thanks for the super chat. Clay hit it on the head. There's how much do you pay for a linebacker that's on the field 50% of the time a year? Like, and the hard part is he's a difference maker. He is one of those guys that like teams have to scheme against when the Bills come in, or when they're going to play the Bills. But it's hard to justify 12, 13, 14 million a year for a guy that plays half the games, not 50% of the snaps, half the games. It's just hard. The pickle gobbler. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means. Thanks for the super chat. Fluke game and now the 49ers Super Bowl contenders. I don't know where he's going with that. Can somebody translate that for me?
I think he's talking about the game against the Rams last week where gotcha. The 49ers beat a good Rams team who are so boom or bust. The Rams, they're either they play a great game or they suck, and there's no in between. So
you can almost throw that game out to me because the Rams, the 49ers, I should say, have the Rams number. I think they've swept them 2 years in a row. Yep. And as we know, any type of an interdivisional game, the gloves come off, the tendencies come off. There's an aspect of each other so well unless there's a coaching change. For me, that's just a matter of the 49ers just have the matchup is right and the 49ers just have their number. So I don't know if it's a fluke game as much as it's just one of those things. So I'm looking through the comments section here. Do you guys have anything to jump onto or add onto just as far as Matt Milano, or can we put Milano to bed? Zach, anything to jump on there or add to that?
Yeah, well, actually, just in regards to contracts, something I wanted to touch on. It starts tonight. How big of a month is this for Josh Allen? He has a month in the limelight. When did everybody really understand who Josh Allen was? It was a year ago in a very similar situation, almost a year ago to the day. It was on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. And the big story was, holy crap, no one outside of Buffalo has really gotten a chance to watch Josh Allen. And they watched him have probably the second best game of his career up until this point, perhaps. You now have 4 straight weeks of primetime games in which they are all standalone, and every single NFL fan on the planet is going to be watching Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That is as much of a playoff simulation as you could possibly have in the regular season. In regards to contracts, you have to think in this situation or in these situations coming up, if you're looking to pay Allen a lot of money, and as we know anymore, Patrick Mahomes set the bar, who knows where things go from here. You have to be able to win these games and win these games consistently. Allen is going to have 4 opportunities to do that. And not only are they big for him, but they are massive for the Bills. The AFC playoff picture is so tight and so wide open. Absolutely anything could happen up until this point. So In regards to contracts, Josh Allen specifically, I just think it is a massive month for him, and he has a lot to show to a lot of people who we take him for granted, right? I said this on the show last week. We get to watch a must-watch player every week, and Josh Allen. Everybody else doesn't. So big month for Josh Allen, and it starts tonight.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's by design. The NFL absolutely set the schedule up because people wanted to see who Josh Allen was going to be, whether it was going to be the Buffalo Bills laughingstock or if it was going to be, holy crap, this team and this kid is for real. So there's an absolute opportunity for the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen to put the world on notice in the next 4 weeks because they are, as you said, isolated, solo, alone in these spots for the next 4 weeks. And there's a chance if that Dolphins game at the end of the season comes down to mean something, that one could be flexed into prime time as well into a Sunday night game. So I hope not. I hope at that point the thing is just completely put to bed. But we'll see. The Josh Allen contract for me is going to be interesting because clearly Mahomes set a bar that's, I don't want to say unattainable, but when you give a guy, when you roll $500 million towards a guy, over whatever it was, 10 or 12 years. And granted, it doesn't kick in until after his 5th year option, which I think is like next year, right? So not 20, but 21 is his 5th year option. So it kicks in kind of after that, and it's all kind of like accounted for. I don't know what the numbers are going to be. I don't care. I just know that we've got a kid that loves Buffalo, that plays Buffalo kind of football, that literally eats, breathes, sleeps, dies like Bill's Mafia. And whatever you got to, if they want to just give him ownership of the team, like, you know what, Josh, the team's yours. Like, just take it, bro. And we just roll with this kid forever. Like that to me, it would, whatever it takes, get it done. He's the most important player on the team. Scott Van Loo with another super chat. Thank you, bro. I just want to let you guys know that I bought Manscaped product and my woman loves it. Thank you so much for sponsoring that. Anybody want to, Clay, you knocked it out of the park with your read the other day. Do you want to do a Manscaped read?
I mean, I've got more. Should I pull out the notes?
Clay, light us up with a Manscaped read.
All right, we'll go real quick with a light Manscaped read here. Hold on one sec. Fellas, does your sexual partner have to dig to find your treasure? And if you're single, don't you think it's time to stop beating around the bush? Go to manscaped.com, get yourself the perfect package 3.0, and go nuts.
Bravo.
It's dude, they should put you on the payroll, bro. Like that's two. You're 2 for 2.
Should. Yeah.
You're 2 for 2 at this point. Oh, so yeah. So everybody, so if you are not familiar with Manscaped, they sponsor Buffalo Fanatics and this show. And we're going to give you 20% off of anything that you order at Manscaped. So just go to manscaped.com, put in the promo code Fanatics. We'll give you 20% off. We'll also give you free shipping. I'm a customer. I think most of the Fanatics guys are customers at this point. Their boxers are amazing. I love them. All their potions and tonics and their whatever the weed whacker thing is that they call it. That thing's great too. All that stuff is super, super good. Buffalo Mafia News. Thanks for the super chat. Could Allen take a cheap contract like Brady did? Does anybody want to talk about that? I have an answer, but I'll roll it to one of you two.
I actually wanted to talk about this when you were talking about contracts earlier. I saw this one pop up. But yeah, so I think that I don't think he'll take a cheap contract, but I think he would be open to making less than his market value in order to stay in Buffalo, because there is kind of a connection now with the city of Buffalo, with the fan base, that I think it's somewhere that he's going to want to be. And I don't think it would take quite as much money as, some guy that's, coming off as a free agent, or if he goes somewhere else, he would have to make more money than he'd be making in Buffalo, I think, just because he'd probably be willing to take a little bit of a pay cut in order to stay in the city that's kind of, believed in him from the start. And then now he has quite a connection with. You
said believed in him from the start. I was not one of them. I think most of Bill's Mafia wanted Josh Rosen.
Believed in him. Gotcha. Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, those guys believed in him. I didn't either. So
we're gonna go around the horn. Zach, what do you think about that? With Josh Allen taking a little bit of a cut?
Well, shout out Matt Montgomery because he kind of stole my thunder a little bit there. I was just gonna say, although Josh Allen's girlfriend Britt Will, she is a gorgeous gal. Is she a supermodel yet? I don't know. And Tom Brady's wife was bringing home the bacon. She was the one making the money during those Super Bowl years. And that's the reason he took the cut. And plus, I think Tom Brady, over a duration of time, just knew that what did he want more than anything? And that's a guy I've never met not that I've met him, but I've never seen anybody in my life, especially in a position, who could make more money than you could ever imagine, take less money in the pursuit of just winning. That's all that guy wants to do. Now, to Clay's point, I think Allen is one of those rare, humble guys who knows where he came from. He knows the opportunity that's in front of him. Nobody wanted him in college. He was the most scrutinized quarterback coming out of that draft class. here he is, right? I think that he would be a guy to take less than his market value. But if the word cheap is the main word in that super chat, there's no way you get Allen for cheap. You're going to have to pay him a decent amount, especially when you see Jimmy G making over $100 million, Matt Ryan, the contract he got, the contracts they gave to Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's so many contracts out there that Josh Allen's agent could say, this guy's making this much. We all know what he's worth. But I do think it would come down to Allen saying, man, Buffalo means a ton to me. I'm not going to get that anywhere else. And I think that he would take a fraction less than he's worth. But he's not like Brady. He doesn't have the Super Bowl or the supermodel wife bringing home $500 million a year or whatever it is.
I'm not so sure that it was the supermodel wife bringing home $500 million. I think there's some shadiness going on in that whole that entire situation between like the team paying his whatever his TB12 foundation thing was and the money that he was making on the side. I don't think there's any way he's taking a hometown discount. I just you're talking about, to use Tre'Davious White terms, generational money, and this is money that's going to set his family up for life. I mean, you're talking about his grandkids type of money. Like, as much as I want to believe it, not to mention the fact that I want to believe that our ownership, the Pagulas, as much as they saved this franchise, and yes, they are billionaires. They're worth $4.7 billion and conversations of super yachts and all that stuff, which I don't necessarily buy into, because with everything that's going on, and I'm going somewhere with this, everything that's going on as far as it with just politics and the landscape with just in general with gas and oil, they're kind of locked right now. There's an aspect of like they're, with the fracking thing, which is where they made all their money. There's an aspect of what's going on with them with what they own that, it kind of teeter-totters. However, all that to say this, I want to see the Pagulas honor Josh Allen. I want to see the Pagulas honor him for what he has done for this franchise and bringing it back into the limelight and into the focus, right? So I don't want there to be a heavy negotiation. I want them to walk out and be like, Josh, this is what we think you're worth. And Josh goes, holy shit, you're right, and signs it. Does that make sense? Like, I want it to be that simple. Like, I'm not even going to negotiate because you're doing me right. You're honoring me and the work that I've done. Let's do this for the next 10 years or the next 5 years or however long that contract is. But what's
really interesting? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was going to say the Tom Brady thing was shady to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the interesting thing to me is it's not just Josh Allen when these contracts come out. You also have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. What's going to happen as far as all three of those players are concerned? And not only that, but who winds up getting paid the most? Why? And if one of them signs before Josh Allen, what does that do as far as his market price is concerned? So I just find that whole draft class very interesting because there's going to be a lot of contract extension talk, and Allen is by far the best of all three. I'm sorry. I think it's solidified now. So what winds up happening in regards to the payout? We'll have to see. It's going to be very interesting.
One of those contracts is going up game by game. One of those contracts is going down game by game. So,
no kidding.
Which is surprising because we did not see that coming last year. Got the super chat from Adrian Marson. Why don't we use McKenzie with the deep ball? This is a fantastic question. Clay, take this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they might be, as far as the deep ball goes, they probably want to have a guy that can make a contested catch because Josh doesn't really hit guys in stride on the deep ball. He can, but it's not really something that he does a lot. And I think this is something they still could do, even with the sets that they already have McKenzie in on. He likes to do, a jet motion sweep across because we're very deadly when we run that jet motion. So maybe a fake to him and he's wheeling on the sideline. The corner could pretty easily lose track of him. So even something like that could find it. It could be a nice little wrinkle to incorporate him in. But yeah, it is kind of strange that we have a speedster guy. And since John Brown is out, it's just extra speed that you can put on the field. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it, especially if it's on some kind of, I feel like regardless, they would write it into the playbook to make it that he is as open as possible so that he doesn't have to be hit in stride perfectly. He can slow down, adjust to the ball a little bit. But Josh Allen isn't necessarily the kind of guy that can really drop it in the bucket on a consistent basis. And that's really what you need for a speedster who's only got like a yard of separation and can't really make those contested catches.
Yeah, I want to come back to that in particular. But before we do, so this is Tebow's. I appreciate the comment. This is crap. Because the dude from Kansas City, I'm blanking on his name, Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, right? Hill. Yeah, like that dude is what, I don't know if he's 5'9", but that dude is he is a game-changing wide receiver. I think for me, there's relevance to that super chat and there's relevance to that question because I know that John Brown is a full route tree guy, and I know that was a surprise when he got to Buffalo, because when he was with Arizona and when he was with Baltimore, he was kind of a go guy. John Brown's still a go guy, and there's an aspect of his speed is what they respect, and they respect him being over the top. They respect Diggs being over the top. Why they're not putting McKenzie out there just to run go routes and run fly routes, just to basically pull those defenders to that side, and then Josh Allen, if to your point, Clay, if it's his launch angle, his launch angle has returned to what it was in 2019. So he's gone from last year, and I've said this a lot, trying to hit guys 50 yards downfield on a frozen rope, which is like the pinpoint accuracy you've got to have, knowing where he's going to go, what the defender's doing, and everything else is incredible compared to throwing rainbows out there, which is what Russ Wilson does. Russ Wilson that ball that Derek Carr threw yesterday to Henry Ruggs was just a rainbow, and Ruggs just ran under it. If Josh Allen could get back to that and find consistency in that, and we heard, you guys are too young for this, Jim Kelly talked about it. So when Jim Kelly was coming out of college, like he got with a quarterback coach who said to him, "You're trying to throw it too far, too fast. Like, just put some arc under it and let that thing just kind of float out there and let the receiver run under it." And once he did, him and James Lofton became like best friends as far as like on that ball. Like Jim Kelly helped put James Lofton into the Hall of Fame on those deep passes that he threw. But Josh Allen, speaking of that, I don't know if any of you were paying necessarily attention to things that I've been saying just as far as Josh Allen's mechanics. Have any of you noticed where his arm is, his left arm, the Edeberger arm is at? So, throwing the football, left arm comes into here as far as that goes. Against the Chargers, I don't know if you guys caught it, his arm was flat. So he was more shortstop, third base throwing the ball, and I played baseball as well, versus being here. I don't know. Did you guys catch any of that? And do you think that's going to be a concern at any point?
I didn't see much of it, honestly. I didn't take too close of a look at what Josh was doing in that game. But yeah, I definitely want to take a closer look and see what he's doing with that. And I think that was probably, a result of he was pressured in the pocket early, so he might have just, snapped back into that instinct mode. And for him, that's just gunslinger mentality. It's not thinking about, putting any touch on the ball or anything like that. It's just, there's my guy, I'm going to hit him right now. And we have been seeing a lot more of that ever since, that kind of the over routes really is what they were dominating with weeks 1 through 4. Since they stopped, they had to stop calling them because teams are starting to cover them. And ever since that, the deep ball has kind of it's been a lot less impressive from Allen. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's just kind of out of that mentality. And I was hoping that the bye week would kind of give him a little bit of a reset. But that doesn't seem to be the case, I guess.
Have you paid any attention to his mechanics at all, Zach?
Well, you know what? That's funny you bring that up because I'm almost positive. I could be wrong, but it really hit me. I think I saw this when Peyton Manning broke down Josh Allen's film after the Dolphins game. Peyton Manning does that ESPN Plus segment where he takes a quarterback each week and breaks down their film. And I'm almost positive that Peyton Manning was talking about Josh Allen's opposite hand placement when he was throwing the ball. So, I mean, if Peyton Manning's noticing it, and obviously you're bringing it up again, I think that that's probably something that needs to be addressed. And I'm looking at it and I look at, things that I see out of also maybe perhaps Baker Mayfield, like last week when he missed that couldn't be more open slant route coming through the middle. Similar situation. He threw it sidearm, kind of like he was throwing a baseball, which you alluded to.
His feet were terrible on that pass.
Terrible.
Too.
Allen, like Clay mentioned, when the pocket is collapsing, he tries to throw it like Mahomes does. And the reason I say like Mahomes does is because Mahomes is the only one who can do it. Maybe Aaron Rodgers.
Sure. Mahomes is a shortstop.
Yeah, he is. He literally is. He put multi-sport in Texas Tech. You're right. So,
yeah, it's just different. So Allen's feet, as I've been watching, have been good. His hips have been good. His shoulders, as far as timing, have been good. It's just that hand. And against the Chargers, his completion percentage was not down. His accuracy was not necessarily what we would consider off. It's just, for me, it's like a golf swing, and I play a lot of golf, or used to play a lot of golf before I moved to Buffalo. I used to play a lot of golf, and that whole timing and alignment thing kind of matters. So it'll just be interesting. You guys should go back, and if you've got that chart, you can probably watch the highlights that are out on YouTube. But if you get a chance, go back and watch tonight and see just kind of where his arm placement is, and begin to see if it, where it shows up. Does it show up when he's being rushed, to Clay's point? Or is it just something where he's just kind of falling back into it? Because that's what happens. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I'm better than this. But another super chat from Eric. Do Bills need 3 seed to avoid Cleveland after the Tennessee game? So this is an interesting question. Thank you for the super chat. Are we literally Saturday, it was going around Twitter, Give me the Browns all day long. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I don't want to play the Browns. Are we afraid of the Browns?
No.
I mean, I'll take it first, I guess. I'm not afraid of the Browns just because the Browns are it's such a boomer bust team. They're it's kind of like a lot like the Rams in that they could have, like Baker did. He had 4 touchdowns in the first half. I think that's the second time this year he had 4 touchdowns in a game. Every other game, he did not do that well. He would have maybe, a couple touchdowns, around 300 sometimes he wouldn't get up that high, and he would throw some interceptions here and there. It was kind of a fluke game, really. I think everything was working for them. They got the momentum and they didn't stop. So they're a good team. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're a bad team, but they're certainly beatable, and we played them last year, and I think that if we played them again, it'd probably be a similar game where it's both teams are throwing punches. It's a little bit back and forth, but they're definitely a beatable team. I don't think that it's not impossible.
Exactly.
But when you look at the picture, is there another team that you genuinely would want to play over the Browns? I can't think of one. I mean, maybe the Colts if Phillip Rivers shows up and throws 3 picks, we know he's capable of doing. But other than that,
Dolphins.
Well, here's my issue with the Dolphins, and this is funny. This is coming up because I addressed this exact situation on my pod last week, and I said I thought the Bills dropping down to 4 with the tiebreaker last week between the Titans and the Colts was one of the best things that happened to them all week because they would be lined up with the Browns. And the reason I say that is because in looking at that, where was I going with this? Oh, so with the Bills in the situation that you're looking at with the Bills being in that spot, having to play Cleveland, I look at it for it to be a perfect situation in multiple facets because Cleveland hasn't made the playoffs in 17 years. They're both on Lake Erie. They've both been perennial losers forever. It would be the greatest storyline because those are the 2 teams that were linked together forever. But the reason I wouldn't want to play Miami is because we played in week 17, and we already addressed this early in the show. God knows what that game comes down to as far as seeding is concerned. If we play them again, that would be twice in 2 weeks, 3 times in a season. The Bills had a tough time beating the Jets this year twice. I know that's crazy to say, but it's tough to beat any team in a season twice, let alone 3 times. That's why I'd rather play the Browns than the Dolphins because there could be a possibility to have to beat that team twice in 1 week.
I think our memory. Somebody in the chat said recency bias. I think the Jets game lives in our minds differently than it should because to me the Jets game is the no punt game, and I think that's where we get lost. And it's like, well, Josh Allen didn't throw a touchdown. Actually, he threw 2. One of them was called back on. It was called back. The Gabriel Davis, I was going to go someplace else with it. And the other one, Tyler Kroft is still running if the dude doesn't fall down. So for me, that's the no punt game as far as I'm concerned. In my opinion, if you're picking it, if we win the East, the Bills are going to have a home playoff game first week of the playoffs. Give me the Dolphins. That's a walk in the park because the Dolphins are not coming. Even if they have to play, even if the Dolphins win the week before, in my opinion, that's because the Bills have clinched the resting starters. So the Dolphins win week 17, week 16 of our season, and then it's a completely different run. If to me, give me I don't want Cleveland. I don't want Cleveland for all the reasons that you just said. I don't want that storybook because I don't want to be in the opposite side of it. Like this, I see what you're saying, yeah. PTSD, right? Like for me, it's like no. I want to write our own story. I don't want to be part of Cleveland's story. But that's we got a new member, John DeMarchi. Welcome to the Bing Squad. We don't have the bell, but Bing biggity Bing. If Rico was up in the house, welcome. Thank you so much for joining, new member. And for all of you that are watching, join, subscribe to Fanatics. Also, there's 218 people up in this mug. Jump on this thing, smash that like, whatever platform you're on, share it. Let your friends know that you're hanging out in the chat with us and that you're talking to us. We got a huge football game coming up in just a couple of hours. I'm excited. The guys are excited. What do you guys want to talk about? Give us the topic. Clay, give me a topic.
I want to talk a little bit more about Nick Mullens, just because he was a guy that I kind of focused in on to really kind of see what he had, what he was going to be able to bring to the table. Just because, without Jimmy G, I know that there was some talk earlier this season of, is Jimmy G, as good as we think he is? Could Nick Mullens be the starter even when he comes back? So I wanted to go take a look at that. And it really is, he is a true West Coast offense type of a guy. It's kind of like, it's almost like Alex Smith when he was with the 49ers. It's just very dink and dunk. He's not going to be the kind of guy that changes a game. His average intended air yards per attempt is only 6.1, which is very low. But, as for comparison, Josh Allen's is 11. So that's a huge jump in intended air yards per attempt. So he's going to be throwing it short all game. And yeah, we need to get pressure on him. We talked about this on the Hump Day Hotline as well. Nick Mullens is not good when he's under pressure. I know Joe Marino, I believe, was the one that said it. He does do well when he's blitzed, but not pressured. So if it's a blitz and he can get the ball off quickly, which he's used to, he's used to throwing those short balls, then he's going to make those easy completions underneath, and it's not going to be an issue for him. So really, the front four are the guys that are going to need to get pressure on him today. So we're going to need a big performance from them, because when he is pressured, he does not do well. He has below a 50 passer rating when he's pressured. So
what are your thoughts, Zach, on Nick Mullens?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that when you're looking at Nick Mullens in comparison to Jimmy G, right? Everybody wants to basically say the Bills. What I'm hearing a lot in regards to back to the Vegas thing. How are the Bills underdogs to Nick Mullens? That doesn't really fly with me, because Jimmy G and Shanahan have a terrible relationship. It would not matter if Jimmy G got hurt this year or not. Jimmy G was done in San Francisco. Shanahan lost trust in him all year last year. There's a reason they ran the ball almost every single play, including the Super Bowl. And the one opportunity that Garoppolo had to use his arm to win the game for the San Francisco 49ers, who, by the way, were winning that game by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, overshot his man by about 8 yards. Ever since then, it is clear and obvious that Shanahan and Garoppolo, it was done between them. Now I'm hearing all sorts of things from Garoppolo going back to New England, which would be absolutely unbelievable. I won't even get into that. But I'm hearing everything but the fact that Garoppolo is coming back to San Francisco. So Nick Mullens starting in this game, in all honesty, I think it might be more beneficial for San Francisco than if Jimmy G were to be starting. When Jimmy G last started, which I believe was against the Dolphins, we all know what happened there. They got ran out of the building by Miami. Mullens is averaging 270 yards a game. He's thrown the ball 35 or more times in each of his starts. There's no lack of trust between Mullens and Shanahan. So I don't think that him necessarily playing quarterback affects whether or not the Bills have a leg up in this game or not. When comparing the two quarterbacks, the Bills have the advantage, but the Niners also have the advantage in the run department. So it's interesting, because as much as you want to say the Bills should blow him out, it's Nick Mullens, I don't think that point really carries much weight.
Yeah, at the risk of swatting the hornet's nest in the pregame tailgate, the Buffalo Fanatics pregame tailgate, to me, Nick Mullens is this, and follow me on my train of thought. So before Josh Allen came into this season and became Josh Allen in the sense of what we know he is now, and him reaching for his ceiling, stacking up yards, confident in the pocket. Even so, talking about Josh Allen last year, even though his numbers weren't spectacular and he was still relatively raw, his numbers were very Tyrod Taylor-esque. So there was a lot of people who are like, well, why did the Bills go get go get Josh Allen when they had Josh Allen on the roster already? Are they racist? Was where everybody wanted to go, which was ridiculous. And you can squash that. And for all the people in the room that are listening, the Bills had 3 black rostered quarterbacks on this football team. So the Bills have never been a racist organization. So if you put that to bed, why did they do it? Right? That's the question. Why did the Bills go get Josh Allen and walk away from Tyrod? And this is where I'm going to make the connection. Mullens, to me, is a lot like Tyrod. Tyrod had decent stats. He was a good player. He was a nice guy, but he wasn't going to beat you, right? There's a difference between beating you and having nice stats. And Josh Allen, even last year, with the difficulty that he had, was a guy that could go out and beat you. Tua is kind of like in that same boat. Tua had a nice game yesterday, but like they scored 19 points. Like he had almost 300 yards. He had 19 points, and that was with a defensive touchdown. And it's like, well, what were these yards? Where did they come from? And what did they mean? Because they kind of didn't mean anything. But for me, that's a very comp as far as like, for me, like Mullens isn't going to beat you. He's not going to go out. He's going to complete passes, but he's not going to go out there. He's not going to beat you, much like Josh Allen can. I think Mullens makes some mistakes in this game. I've got him at three turnovers, whether it's 3 interceptions or 2 interceptions and a fumble. But I think that Mullens he's going to have a tough time. I think Leslie Frazier and McDermott are going to do some decent things as far as to rush him to Clay's point without blitzing him and to get him a little bit confused. So yeah, I don't know. Follow up to that. Anybody?
Yeah, I agree with that. Mullens is not the guy that's going to beat you. I do think he'll probably throw an interception today, just because McDermott's going to do something tricky and throw him off. He is a smart quarterback. He doesn't usually tend to force things unless he has to,
right.
And that's when it starts to get ugly for him. But keep in mind there are players on the offense that can win the game, that will go out and beat you, and that's Samuel, Ayuk, and Mostert, and those guys are all going to be on the field today. So those are the ones that we really should be worrying about. Nick Mullens is just the medium to get them the football.
Yeah, stack and tackle. For those of you that are not paying attention to the football game, the Steelers are winning 14-3, and Johnson scored the first touchdown, and he did the Justin Jefferson dance. Why are all NFL wide receivers doing the Justin Jefferson dance now? Like,
gritty.
Can you come up with your own? I mean, I like it. I like it when Justin Jefferson does it, but I don't understand why everybody has to do it. So I don't know. That's just what I do. Sidebar. Sorry. Pull out Kane. Thanks for the super chat. Took me a minute to get to you. I apologize. Just got in, guys. Anyways, getting dubs in Warzone. I don't know if you all talked about it or not. How much playing time do you all think Milano will get? Love the New Jersey Joe. I hate you. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
That thing is man.
I am rocking the Corey Bojorquez jersey. I don't know if you can see it. I showed it to Clay the other night, so I'm a man of my word. We did cover this topic, and we feel that he will be on a pitch count. Milano will be. We're not necessarily sure. Probably third downs, definite passing situations. It'll be interesting. We could very much be surprised as well. We saw a situation last week against the Chargers where Austin Eckler hadn't played in how long, and it was like comments about his being ready to play, about his not hydration, but his just his endurance and stuff like that. And then the dude played the whole freaking game and actually played well. There's a chance Milano could come out and play a lot and put AJ on the bench. I don't think it's going to happen, but stranger things have happened in the NFL. What about you, Zach? Any topics you want to talk about now that we've talked about Mullens?
Well, to me, the one thing I think we kind of already touched on a little bit, but I didn't really get your guys' entire thoughts on it. But I mean, are we really? And we got to think about this. I look at my life, and obviously, I'm a younger fan, and I'm in my mid-20s. But I look at my life, and the Bills never played on primetime. It was to the point where I would just assume the Bills were never going to play on primetime. They're not capable of doing it. And I had tons of, a-hole friends who were Cowboys fans and Eagles fans and Giants fans. And week in and week out, man, Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night. And we never got any of that ever. And now we are about to embark on 4 straight weeks of this. And I know I touched on this earlier about how big this is for Josh Allen. How big is this for Buffalo as a whole? I talked about this a little bit last week, but to me, it just means so much. If you needed one indication as to the evidence as to how this Bills team has arrived into the team that we wanted them to be, it's here. You've now started the year off 8-3, soon to be 9-3 after tonight, 2 years in a row. And now you have a year to end the season where you are playing on a national stage each and every week. And I just think we're not talking about it enough. I think it is massive for us fans. It's massive for the organization. And it's so telling as to where this Bills team has come to. And I think that with Josh Allen and the emerging stars we have, especially on offense, it's all come together, and it's just so enjoyable, and it's so exciting. When you see the Bills promos on the commercials, you see them getting talked about way more than they ever have before. It's just little things I think growing up that I really was jealous of from other fan bases, and it's here now, and I'm just enjoying every bit of it. I don't really know how you guys feel about it, but to me, it means a lot as a fan. It really does.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Clay, I don't know if you got, that was just well said. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think I could add anything beneficial to that. I was actually looking forward to talking about some of the Inactives, which just came out here. Yeah, scrolling down at the bottom of the screen.
I was literally going to say, how does this change your thinking, Zach?
Right.
Because it's Croft is inactive. I'm not against the Bills running the football. I'm not against the Bills wanting to establish the run. I'm against Lee Smith bingo. And I said that on my show last week, this idea that every time Lee Smith's on the field, we're running the football. And it's obvious. And I know it's not completely true, but there's a good chance, more so than ever, that if Lee Smith is on the field, the Bills are looking for that extra tackle and they're going to run the football. I would rather see them pass to set up the run. That's all I'm saying. And there's just, maybe they've worked this week. I'm trying to figure out a way to keep Josh in rhythm while running. I hope so. I don't know. I can't say they are. I can't say they're not. But yeah, what were the rest of the inactives? You said they're rolling at the bottom of the screen. So who
Yeah,
else
it
on
was
there?
so it's Tyler Croft, Murphy, Yeldon, and Fromm. So Fromm and Yeldon, those are
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah,
Murphy, he's kind of been on and off. So if they're looking to get pressure off those front four, Murphy's not going to be a part of that. We're going to see a lot of Addison, Hughes, and Epinesa. So which I liked what I saw from Epinesa last week. He actually looked like he stepped it up, and is starting to get more comfortable in the NFL, which is really good to see. And him being comfortable, I think, is kind of the biggest thing at this point. Being comfortable in his role in the defense and being comfortable going against these guys that are big and strong and a lot tougher than the guys he faced at Iowa State.
Well, he's athletic and mobile, and if you're thinking about a guy that you want on the field, if you're talking about stacking and tackling and being the second guy to the ball, like that's a guy that I want there. He hasn't shown a ton of it yet because he's focused on getting to the quarterback as far as usually with the reps that he's got. But that's a guy that could potentially get a decent amount of tackles tonight as far as in this football game. Yeah. Oh, there they are at the bottom. Yeah, Fromm, Yeldon, Croft, Murphy. That's a lot of money we're paying for a guy that's an integral part of this football team, coach. You don't see the things that Murphy does and the things that he brings us. And right now he's bringing us nothing. So I don't see anything in here comment wise that I want to get to. We get a couple more minutes. Why don't we talk about this? Let's go with not keys. Keys are always funny. We've kind of already talked about that. What a surprise for this football game. Zach, give me a surprise for this football game.
Yeah, I was on the Bills guys the other day with Tilt and Judge. We did hot takes, and I'm gonna stick with mine again here. I think, and you touched, Joe, you think Mullens is going to have 3 turnovers. I, like you, think Mullens is definitely going to turn the ball over at the very least once. But my hot take tonight, the Bills will have their first defensive touchdown since 2017. The Bills have been close, very close. The last several weeks, they have forced turnovers each and every week, and they are getting turnovers near their own red zone. So you have to think one of these times it's going to go in their favor. And doesn't it just seem that teams week in and week out are finding ways to score on special teams and on the defense, but the Buffalo Bills, they're due for one. I think Nick Mullens gives them the opportunity to put one in the house tonight. So that's my hot take for the Monday Nighter.
Yeah. Clay, what you got?
I'll say we're gonna hold Mostert to under 50 yards. I think we're gonna bottle him up today. 50 is ambitious. I should probably go with something better.
He could get 50 in one run.
Well, I know.
Well, the Vegas line is 63. So
is it?
That's what they think. Yeah,
I'll take the under on the Vegas line then, and that'll be my bold prediction because I think that the Vegas line is actually a little low for going up against the Bills defense, which has struggled against the run. But I think with Matt Milano back, we might see AJ Klein and Matt Milano on the field at the same time. That would certainly be very helpful to Tremaine Edmonds as well. I think if he's got a guy that he can trust on both sides of him now, I think we might see a little bit of that. We might see AJ Klein kind of fall into that role that Lorenzo Alexander was playing a little bit last year. It kind of seems like he's already doing that. So I think it definitely would be a surprise for everyone if they're able to, really stop the run game and Mostert, who's their best running back. So I think that the defense is on the rise. I think it's something that they can do, and they're going to come out, hot and heavy today, prime time game. I think they're just going to want it more.
Yeah. So Dave Thorpe, who's a big fan of my show, Sex of Dave at Sex of Dave on Twitter, in my show today, that was his Bills Mafia time to shine moment. Is he said that he believes that the Bills are due, that a pick six is coming. I believe it too. I think there's a defensive touchdown coming the Bills' way tonight. This defense has been building and steadily kind of like stacking on top of like good play and good play and good play and finding their legs and finding themselves. I think the defense is going to show up tonight in a mad way. Philip Gong says Croft did Manscaped today. He gets benched. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Unacceptable. Eric, Andre Roberts scores a special teams touchdown. This is big because like there were like punt return and kick return touchdowns yesterday, and I was like, like all of a sudden the floodgates open. So the thoughts, potential.
I mean, I think there's been potential for it the entire time we've had him here because he's always, he'll get those where he gets to like the 50-yard line, but there's just one or two guys that he can't get away from. All it really takes is, one guy making a mistake on the back end. If he can make a couple guys miss, gets a couple good blocks, he's going to be off to the races. He knows how to set his guys up so well. When he's doing those returns, he watches a lot of film and he knows where he should go in any given situation. So I think he's been due up. I think he could definitely get one.
Yeah, for sure. Zach, what do you think?
He's due. How good is Andre Roberts? Like we really underestimate. Like it's unbelievable. And I thought last week it really showed because the Chargers special teams is about as bad as it gets. And then you look at the luxury you have in Andre Roberts. But, yesterday, like the Patriots, 2 special teams touchdowns. They have like 7 or 8 special teams touchdowns a year, it seems. So if the Bills could grab one from a great player in Andre Roberts, I'd love to see it because I think it's well overdue.
Yeah, the chatter about not having Andre Roberts on this team because he's taking up a spot for Duke Williams is kind of like it's quieted, hasn't it? Like there's not much chatter about that. Don't get me wrong, I love Duke Williams, but like there ain't a whole lot of people like pining for Duke Williams anymore. Like or Robert Foster. And where's Robert Foster? Is he with the Eagles? Where's Robert Foster at now?
He's with the Packers. I don't know if he got released. I don't know what happened with him.
Gotcha. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching and are still watching. We got another hour to go after this. Our segment is up here in about 3.5 minutes. But the Buffalo Fanatics tailgate show prior to the Buffalo Bills taking on the San Francisco 49ers in Arizona. Man, that's a tongue twister because I literally want to call them the Cardinals just like you did earlier, Clay, and as I fumbled over it. There's 230 people up in this mug. Do me a favor, whatever platform you are watching on, jump on the like button. Smash the like. Subscribe, become a member, whatever you got to do. As we wrap this thing up in the last couple minutes, tell everybody where they can find you. Clay, you go first. Tell us about your show, where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me. I have a podcast, the Bills Counterpoint podcast. I talk to someone from the opposing team that upcoming week. So this week I'll be talking to someone from the Steelers. So and I do this every week. Learn a little bit more about the team that we're going to face from someone that is inside and reports on those and talks about those guys. You can find that on anywhere you can find a podcast, and you can find me on Twitter over here at Clay Troya, and follow me there. And I'm usually, talking football there as well.
Gotcha. Zach.
Bot Talks Bills podcast every Tuesday morning. It'll be out. So if you want to listen on your way to work or on the way back from work every Tuesday, this week's show is stacked. I got Judge coming on from the Bills guys. I got Brian from Breaking Tables. And then everybody's favorite is joining the show tonight. Brother Bill is coming on Bot Talks Bills to give his recap of the Niners game. And if you follow him on Twitter today, he built a Golden Gate Bridge out of Legos, played the Full House theme, and then ran it over with his car and then pounded a Bud Light afterwards. So that's dying awesome to get his thoughts after the game. So Bot Talks Bills, like Clay did, I'm going to do the same thing he did, try to figure out where I'm at here at Zach B22 every Tuesday. So,
and ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joe Miller. I'm the voice of the Overreaction podcast, which normally drops on Monday, and I had a Monday preview show, which you've still got time to catch if you don't want to stay tuned in. But I would prefer you stay tuned into the Tailgate show. We got another hour of this. Also, I have another one dropping tomorrow. So Bot and I are going to go against each other a little bit tomorrow. So you've got 2 great shows to listen to tomorrow, post-game shows. I think both will probably drop late tonight. You can find me on the Hump Day Hotline right here on the Multicast Network. And Clay has become a regular going forward for the rest of this season. And then I've got a show with John Fina, the Off Tackle with John Fina show that is going to drop on Friday, where we're going to just basically go over the third quarter, the last 4 games of the Bills season. We got one last super chat. Brian Bowers, my guy Brian Bowers. Okay, boys, let's talk about another game without John Brown. Will Gabriel Davis step up and have a big game or what? I want to see 300 yards passing from Josh Allen. So real quick, just simple answer. Yes or no, Gabe Davis?
It's yes for me. I think he'll get over 100 and a touchdown today.
Is he hot?
Yep, I definitely see him scoring again today.
I am in a complete and 100% agreement. And I think that's all for us. So, Judge, I know you're producing. I don't know if you're going to trick this thing out, but for me, Joe Miller, thank you guys for tuning in and watching us. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Right now we have a prime time game going on that's coming this week, right? Yeah. So for a vet in the game, you've been in countless prime time games. What is it about prime time and then your regular season games that's the difference? What is it?
Man, I done been on both sides of the stick. You know what I'm saying? I done kicked somebody's ass on prime time, and I done got my ass kicked on prime time. You know what I'm saying? So whole world is watching just that game. The whole world is nothing else on right now. You got to put your big boy pants on because every play is getting watched by everybody. We play on Dallas. Well, when I was in Carolina, we played on Dallas Thanksgiving game, and that's when they first started like the color rush was in like all blue, and it was before halftime. I came off the ball, you know what I'm saying, out rushing, and Big Smith, the left tackle, grabbed me right, and kind of yoked me and threw me, right? I was like, ooh, yeah. And it was right before halftime. So I got in the halftime, you know what I'm saying? You know, got a little water, you know what I'm saying? Ate a banana, checked my phone. My mama said, "Mama, baby, don't let nobody grab you like that again. I seen that last." My mama better not work TV, you know what I'm saying? But she watching that game, you feel me? So I had to go back out there, you know what I'm saying, and go and put that long arm on Smith head. And I know what I did. I put a long arm on it and I set him down. So, you know what I'm saying? You the only, y'all on the team, only two teams that's playing, you know what I'm saying, at the moment. So that would make it so unique and special.
Wow, welcome in.
What's up?
Hello.
I was not expecting that video to end. I'm just looking through scores from this past week. What's up, guys? This is the BF Tailgate on Buffalo Fanatics, presented by Manscaped. It is Monday Night Football, Week 13. We are in Arizona to face the 49ers. That is Judge Mathis in your upper right corner, and down below, Tilt Money with the Bills hat. And I am Jeff Landers. You can find us. Those are our Twitter handles. Reach out to us on Twitter. Get in the comment section. And, of course, smash the like buttons. We had 230 people in here just 5 minutes ago, and 50 people have bailed. So share, get some more people in here, and Judge, give them a reason to. What is your take to start?
I'll tell you what. I was the most upbeat human being all day today, and then and then the inactive list came out, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit upset. And the reason why I'm upset is because Lee Smith is active over Tyler Kroft. And I said all week, what I want to see the Buffalo Bills do is I want to see the Buffalo Bills come out, and I want to see them spread out 4 wide receiver, even without Smoke Brown. And I want to see them throw the ball over these San Francisco 49ers. I'm talking 40, 50 times this game. And the reason why I want them to do that is because the 49ers nickel corner, Kwan Williams, is out. They're down another DB in the secondary in Mosley. And guys like Jaquiski Tart are on IR. So they're really thin at safety. Throw all over this team. Wear out their D-line that's still talented but thin. Get them tired. Go up tempo. That's how we should be taking it to the San Francisco 49ers team. I want this game to look like a Madden game. I want a blowout. And sort of the air has been sucked out of me with this Lee Smith news, because it feels like the Bills are going to try to establish the run again when they have no business trying to establish the run.
Tilt, do you agree with Judge? Give me a disagreement. Come on, what do you got to disagree with Judge there?
I don't need a blowout. I just need a win, and I'll tell you why.
A win is a win, Judge.
It's not even a win is a win to me in this situation. This is why I want to win. 1999, folks. 14 years old for good old Tilt Money in 1999. That's the last time the Bills won a true, proper Monday Night Football game. Not counting, obviously, the game that got moved to Monday when they played the Jets. That was a CBS game, just happened to be played on Monday. The Bills haven't won a proper Monday Night Football game since 1999. There was a stretch there during the drought where we were lucky to even get a Monday night game, let alone play in prime time. And whenever we did, we always found heart-wrenching ways to lose. I mentioned it today in the chat. Dallas onside kick. We're huge underdogs. We lose that game. The Browns, wide right part 2. Ryan Lindell. Leotis McKelvin fumbling against the Pats. We lose a couple of tough ones against the Seahawks and the Patriots in the last few years. For me, tonight is all about Monday Night Football, the allure of Monday Night Football, and showing everyone in the country that the Bills are for real. And that, like Mario Addison said in the video, there's no other game on, right? So end this Monday Night Football drought, curse, whatever you want to call it. We already ended the playoff drought with McDermott. Let's end the Monday Night Football drought. That's what I feel about this game.
And here's my question, Jeff. I just want to jump in.
Sure.
Because I've been scrolling Twitter all day, like not doing my job because the Bills are playing Monday Night Football. Who else was actually doing their job today?
I actually had to today. Yes.
Oh, I just teach children.
I was working too.
I just teach children. I winged it. But anyway, back
2 + 2 is 5.
Back to that. All day on Twitter today, all I see is every every pundit after pundit after pundit absolutely sucking off the New York Giants, who upset the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. So technically, since the Bills are underdogs, if the Bills win this game, it's an upset, right? We're gonna be all over national media tomorrow. We're gonna be the darlings of Twitter, right?
The last line I saw via Vegas Insider was 2 points for the 49ers.
It's moved because it was 1.5 like an hour ago.
2. Yeah, I heard it's 2 now.
Yeah, I heard it's 2. If we can get into odds later on, I've got Super Bowl odds, AFC odds, AFC East odds. We can talk all about that. But guys, for me, defensive momentum is going to be huge in this game. The defense has finally picked it up. You're facing a 49ers team that's bottom half of the league in both passing yards and rushing yards. Defensive momentum, huge. You're finally starting to play like the defense that we know and love, and you get Matt Milano back. Not to mention, you've got Pittsburgh next week. So one of my first questions that I really wanted to talk to you guys about, especially now that Matt Milano is active, what percentage of a healthy Matt Milano is better than a 100% AJ Klein? Is it 75% Matt Milano? Does he have to be 99% Matt Milano? Because AJ Klein's been on a hot streak for this defense, and I think the coaching staff has really put him in a position to succeed as a part of that. So what percentage of a healthy Matt Milano is better than a 100% hot AJ Klein? Tilt.
This is tough. I mean, before AJ Klein got on his hot streak, you would have said like 5%. But now, like you said, a hot AJ Klein, I'd say maybe around 75, 80% is probably where I would say that's where you get to the point where Milano's talent and speed and just instincts probably take over. But I think what you'll see is that I think he'll probably be on some kind of snap count tonight. I don't think he's going to play 100% of the snaps. I do think that they are going to ride AJ Klein early in the game to see how it goes and, try to ease Milano back in. Obviously, we need this game. Milano's going to be important. They're not going to fly him across the country if they don't expect him to play. But I would venture to guess that based on before he kind of got shut down, after he came back the first time, he was only playing like 15, 20 snaps in those games. So I would expect him to maybe play a little more than that because he should be healthier this time around. But, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's going to be hard to take hot AJ Klein off the field right now. They could play different positions, though, is the point, I guess. They can slide Klein back over to the strong side, put Milano on the weak side where he's natural, and play a little bit more base 4-3 defense, especially because likely the Niners are going to try to be running the ball down our throats with Mostert. So I don't mind all 3 linebackers on the field.
And that's where I wanted to go with Judge, is the Niners are probably going to want to run the ball. We know Matt Milano in the run game is just an absolute beast. So if he is on a pitch count for the Bills, that's still better than nothing, but you'd prefer to have him in the whole game, right? Versus the AJ Klein, who is much more of a north-south pass rusher.
Well, what I was going to say too was you were talking about, you were talking about like what percentage of Matt Milano is better than 100% AJ Klein. And if you would have picked me first, I would have told you, I would have gone back to my poli-sci days at the University of Buffalo and gone back to the old campaign tactic I learned and not accept the premise of the question, because
come on.
What I think is the Buffalo Bills are in a perfect situation right now. When the Buffalo Bills want to be 3 linebacker, you put AJ Klein on the strong side and let him rush the passer, let him set the edge, and you put Matt Milano in there and let him drop back and do what he does best. And when you want to go 2-down linebacker, if Matt Milano's feeling good, you can keep Matt Milano on the field. And if Matt Milano's not feeling good, you can just put AJ Klein out there and you'll still get that production. So AJ Klein, what AJ Klein playing at 100% does is it gives you the freedom to let Matt Milano get his feet wet, but still take your time. And against a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who are going to try to run the ball down our throats, my game plan today is to stack the box, whether you're playing 3 linebackers or nickel. Stack that box, blitz the hell out of Nick Mullens. So when Matt Milano's on the field, send AJ Klein just screaming at him every single time. Because, the advanced statistics shows when he's under pressure, he doesn't throw the ball very well.
So is that
get
your
Nick
dog
Mullens.
disagreeing with you?
That's my dog disagreeing with me, but yes. But get Nick Mullens feeling uncomfortable, stack the box, make Nick Mullens beat you in this game. That's what the Buffalo Bills have to do. And I think a big part of that will be playing all three linebackers, not just two of them.
Well, and on that point, I don't think Trey Day, Levi Wallace, Josh Norman are very scared of Nick Mullens. They you leave them on an island, they're like, okay, I'm gonna start a fire and survive, Castaway style. But what do you think about what Judge just said, Tilt?
No, I'm with him. I think that I love the game plan of bringing 8 guys into the box, make Nick Mullens beat you. I said it, on our show Monday. I was like, what are the things going in the Bills' favor in this game? Steve asked me, and I said, look, the fact of the matter is, it's like, yes, they have no George Kittle, but regardless of what you think about Jimmy Garoppolo, I would much rather face Nick Mullens than Jimmy Garoppolo in this situation. So I'm going to try.
Jimmy G too pretty for you?
No, I'm saying Jimmy G is a better quarterback than Nick Mullens. So I agree with Steve. Like, make Nick Mullens beat you. And if Nick Mullens beats you, you probably have bigger problems than you really want to talk about.
I want to go back to Pierre's comment, because Pierre, this just blew my mind. He says, because the Bills have been doing this a little bit. Leave Klein in the middle and the 2 studs on the outside. The Bills have been doing a minor variation of this with Tremaine Edmonds sort of on the edge and either dropping back and rushing while AJ Klein has played the middle of the field. They've done a variation of that. So if they go out there and do that lineup with 3 linebackers and have Milano and Edmonds on the edge with AJ Klein in the middle, I think we got to call that the Tiger King package, because that'll be the most exotic thing this defense has done in a long time. That would definitely, I think, throw the San Francisco 49ers off.
Oh, we just got a comment in the section, touchdown Washington. All right, good for the Washington football team helping us out against the Steelers. Guys, I want to talk to you about our running game as well. And we touched a little bit about this earlier in the week when I had an analogy for our fan base. For those baseball fans out there, the Yankees. When I was growing up in the 90s, the Yankees, Andy Pettitte had a lethal pickoff move that was a borderline buck. We don't need our running game to pick off, to be an elite pickoff, I should say. We need our running game to just be the pitcher who steps off the rubber and just gently lobs it over to first base just to keep the runner off it. Honest. Now, what I mean by that is we're going to run the ball to keep the defense honest. That way they're not keying in on Josh Allen only. They're not playing just Josh Allen's strengths. So if Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, they start becoming more efficient on their runs, they could pop off 7, 8, 9 yards a run. That's going to keep the defenses much more honest. And you guys seem to agree earlier in the week on that concept. But looking at the inactives, they might be trying to go a little bit heavier with Lee Smith in for a blocking package. What do you guys think about the running game and tonight's strategy? Judge?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm with you in the analogy that you had, because like I said, I would rather see 40 passes, 45 passes, and 15 carries. And that makes it harder for the defense to see when those carries are coming. So that hopefully increases your yard per carry average, because you can break off those bigger runs with guys like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, or even like a jet sweep to a guy like Isaiah McKenzie. So that is something I would have preferred to see. The issue that I'm going to have with the Buffalo Bills is the fact that they're making Lee Smith active essentially makes you think that they're tipping their hand. Lee Smith played, I believe it was 17 carries last game. He played 17 carries last game. And if he's playing on the field in those 17 carries, on those 17 carries, the Buffalo Bills are pretty much most likely going to be running the football, or it's going to be some variation of a play action. They're going to try to trick you, but it's not really a trick when Lee Smith is on the field, because you're seeing one of 2 things. You're seeing a run, or you're seeing a play action. It's one of 2 things. So I would have liked to see Tyler Kroft active today, especially with the nickel corner, the lack of depth at safety. Cole, I would have liked to see Crumrow, Beasley, Kroft, Knox, all those guys work in the middle of the field, setting the pass to set up the run. Like I said, my biggest fear today is that they're going to try to use the run to set up the pass, and I just don't know if that's an effective strategy against this defense.
Like I said, I personally would just like to see our running game just keep the defense honest. Be efficient when you're called. get those big chunk yards. We don't need a lot of running the game unless we get into that 4-minute offense where we need to kill the clock. Tilt, what do you think about Lee Smith being active for this game?
Steve, maybe he should rename our show to the Overreaction Part 2 because of
hey, we need a new name. We need a new name.
We do need a new name according to some certain communications we received today from a certain organization. But
yeah, we're gonna have to blur out the Bills logo before the show is over.
Yeah. So
it only took a year and a half to get that season.
It happened today of all days, huh?
Yeah, it happened today. No, I mean, I'm with him. I think that Croft and Knox would have been nice to have. Like Steve was saying, spread them out, go up tempo. Like those would have been the 2 tight ends you would have liked to have doing that. I do worry that maybe the Bills are gonna come into this game playing it a little more conservatively based on the fact that Nick Mullens is the quarterback for the Niners. But the counterpoint I would have to that is that kind of plays into the 49ers' hands, in my opinion, because the 49ers, like we've been saying, are going to try to run the ball. They've got Mostert back now. And I think a slower paced game, a fewer possession game favors the 49ers in a game like that. So I'm with Steve. I would rather come out, put the pressure on that 49ers defense, try to jump out to a lead, try to jump out to maybe a 2-possession lead, and take the Niners out of that comfort zone of running the football and make Mullens beat you. By having Lee Smith active, it indicates to me that they may try to run the ball more, kind of like they did against the Chargers. And the Chargers are the team you do that against because of how hot Herbert had been and the weapons they have. But the Niners don't seem like a team to me that you do that against, especially with Warner in the middle of that defense and their defensive line. Still solid group, even without, Bosa and Solomon Thomas. They still have Armstead. They have Kinlaw in the middle. So I'm with Steve on this. it's a little bit of a head scratcher for me with Lee Smith.
Now, right before we came on, Joe Miller, Clay Troya, Zeba, they were talking about a defensive score. Our defensive momentum has to pick up because this run right here, the next 5 games are perfect practice, especially the next 2, tonight and Sunday night, are a perfect practice for the playoffs. You win a big game, you're rewarded with an even bigger game. That's what we have tonight in the desert against the 49ers. We have a big game, national stage against the defending NFC East champions. And then we get what is right now an undefeated Steelers team coming into our place, Sunday Night Football, another national stage. If you come out with a win tonight, you're looking at staying inside the top 3, maybe even trying to push into a top 2 spot in the conference against the Steelers. So you win a big game, and you go and you get an even bigger game. It's a perfect practice run for that playoff type scenario going forward. Till how do the Bills, big picture wise, keep their heads and use this scenario within 6 days of each other? You have 2 games within 6 days.
Well, I think the first thing the Bills need to look at is the fact is Miami's not going away. Okay. So, you can't necessarily say like, oh, we're going to come into this 49ers game, it's prime time, and sort of look ahead and think like we've got potentially the undefeated Steelers coming up. We've got these primetime games. Like you really have to go back to that coach speak sort of mantra of the one game at a time, because if you don't take care of business tonight, and again, there's all these negative connotations that come with it, right? That's 1, you can't win on Monday Night Football. You can't win on primetime. 2, you're now tied with Miami record-wise, albeit we have the tiebreaker. And then 3, on top of that, you now have negative momentum going into a huge game against the Steelers where you could potentially find yourself, if you lose 2 in a row, out of first place in the division if Miami were to win 2 more. So the Bills, this is what, the fans, a lot of fans love the kind of standard like 1 p.m. We love the routine of it. McDermott has said as much. But if the Bills want to be that next level team, they need to be used to playing in primetime. They need to earn the right to play in primetime, which they did this year, and now they have to deliver on it. And it's the perfect sort of practice, like you said, Jeff, to kind of gear them up for the playoffs, because the playoffs, it's prime time every game, and it only gets bigger after that. So this little mini run here is a good indication, but you can't you can't look too far ahead. And I know like that's the same thing they would have to do in the playoffs. So that's my view on it.
Judge, you're down there in the desert, the site of a
10 minutes from the stadium.
A theft just about 3 weeks ago. It was a theft. The Cardinals are one play away from having lost 5 straight. Now, if you're the Bills and you're coming back into this stadium, you have the most sour taste in your tongue, in your mouth from that loss, and you're probably going to want to take it out on your opponents, no matter who they are, whether it's the Cardinals or the San Francisco 49ers, just what happened 3 weeks ago. So what's the vibe been down in Arizona with the 49ers coming in? Have they talked about anything like that all week?
I'll tell you what, they're pretty concerned with the Arizona Cardinals here down in Arizona. They really haven't paid too much of a mind about the San Francisco 49ers. I think the biggest talk has really been, concern over sharing their stadium in the middle of a COVID pandemic. I know that's been the biggest talk on talk radio is they don't want the Cardinals and the 49ers sharing equipment in, stadiums and locker rooms and all that such. But outside of that, there really hasn't been much talk here in Arizona. But, I will say this. Dave talks about how Miami is nipping on our heels for the division. And that's definitely something that's going to keep the Buffalo Bills motivated week in and week out is the fact that Miami is still there. They are not going away. Yes, their next 4 games are brutal, but, we have a couple of really tough games coming up as well. So the Buffalo Bills need to keep the pedal to the metal. And what I really hope Sean McDermott did this week is I really hope that Sean McDermott really made it clear to the players how the Buffalo Bills perform in prime time. 6-29 in their last Monday Night Football games. I hope on that television screen all week in their locker room where Sean McDermott likes to play highlights, there was the Leotis McKelvin fumble, that there was the Nick Folk field goal kick, that there was the 56-10 Sunday Night Football trouncing at the hands of the New England Patriots. I hope he was playing those clips all
Flex
week
game.
because the Buffalo Bills for the past 20 years have been an absolute joke on primetime television. And that's the reason why all the money is going to San Francisco. That's the reason why, despite the fact that we were the better team the last 3 weeks, the national pundits aren't talking about us. That's the reason why when Josh Allen goes on a heater, he's not in MVP conversations like guys like Derek Carr in Las Vegas and guys like Kyler Murray in Arizona. So what I really hope that Sean McDermott did this week is he made the message clear that the Buffalo, these 53 men have a chance to turn the entire image of a franchise and a city around. They have an opportunity over the next month to go into Arizona and overcome Hail Murray and beat the San Francisco 49ers on prime time when they are disrespected by being the underdogs. They have a chance on Sunday Night Football at home to beat what's probably going to be the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. Then on the 25th, go and do their business against Denver when people will probably still be picking against them, and then go and into New England and beat the New England Patriots and not leave a shadow of a doubt who the best team in the AFC East is and who the best team is going to be for years to come when they're playing Matt Barkley against the Miami Dolphins week 17. The Buffalo Bills have a chance to make a statement, and I really, really hope that Sean McDermott really hammered that point home this week.
Yeah, and you talk about 53 guys turning around a franchise, and those are the guys who put the pads on. One of those guys who won't put the pads on tonight is John Brown. How does his absence affect the offense against a beat-up 49ers secondary tilt? You think maybe the Bills would have wanted to go 4-5 wide against this secondary, but with Lee Smith being active, you might not get that chance. So how does this change the offense without John Brown?
Well, it's well documented, right? Josh's numbers and the team just doesn't put up the same yardage statistics points when John Brown's not in the lineup. So we would be naive to think that there's not going to be an effect. However, with that said, I don't think that you're going to need 30 points to win this game. So I think it's prime time for, like Steve's been saying all week, pepper Cole Beasley with targets this week. Let Gabriel Davis step up, which he has been. I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him. So it's an opportunity for the rookie to step up. Stephon Diggs, he got 7 catches last week, but his yardage totals were modest. So I expect a bounce back game from him. He's going to be motivated. He wants to show his side of the story as well, and the fact that, hey, the Bills traded for me. I'm on primetime. This guy Justin Jefferson is the talk of the town right now in Minnesota, and I want to show that I'm still the guy, and they made the right move by trading for me. And then obviously you've got Knox, and what is he going to do for you? He obviously had the touchdown last week. I said, like, we need more of Dawson Knox. Again, it doesn't have to be high volume, but a couple big impact plays. That's really all you're going to need out of him. So I don't like the fact that we don't have John Brown. We're not as good of a passing offense without him, but guys have opportunities now. Dawson Knox, Gabriel Davis, and like Steve said, Cole Beasley should be the main benefactor in John Brown's absence, and especially with the matchup. So just like we said last week, other guys will have to step up, and I expect that to happen tonight. And I expect Diggs to have a much bigger yardage game tonight than he did last week as well.
Judge, building off that, let's say that Lee Smith's active status is a red herring and maybe a little bit of a misnomer, and the Bills do want to go 4-5 wide. Who's going to be stepping into that role? I mean, we have Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis are going to be the big three. Who else would you put on the field if the Bills are going to take advantage of that depleted secondary?
I think you'd want to use maybe Isaiah McKenzie in those 4 receiver spots. So you could have Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs on the outside, and you can have guys like Isaiah McKenzie and Cole Beasley on the inside. I think we even saw that a little bit. I mean, by saying we saw it, I mean that the people in the stadium in Miami in week 2 saw it, because the truck went out, but Isaiah McKenzie made a pretty big catch, in that Miami game from the slot. So maybe using Isaiah McKenzie and his speed a little bit to play some games with the safeties and to play some games with linebackers and things like that in the mismatch game. And also maybe a couple of weeks on the active roster, you could get a guy like Jake Crumero in there, the big slot. So a big body guy to maybe go up against some linebackers and safeties. Maybe Jake Crumero, who was one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers loved the dude. So that has to say something about Jake Crumero. Maybe he finally gets some run as a big slot type of player.
Well, let's not start the conspiracy theory that his size is needed for Hail Mary defense. So hopefully we don't need that again in this game for the second time inside.
2 possession lead. That's all we need. 2 possession lead, and it's not a problem.
2 possession lead. How do we get a 2 possession lead in this game? It seems to be we're more worried about their defense than we are their offense. I think our defense should be able to take care of business as long as we're able to stop the run, whether we got to sell out on that or not. But we should be a little bit more worried about their defense than on their offense.
Yeah, I mean, the key obviously is Josh can't be careless with the football early on in the game, right? Don't
spin the ball at other people's feet.
We cannot get behind in this game, because that plays into San Francisco's strengths, obviously, of being able to run the ball. Even if we're up by 1 possession, I mean, I still like that from a game flow and a game script perspective for us. San Francisco will still be able to run the ball a bit, but you get up by 7 and then maybe even get up by 10, right? Even if you're up by 10, that's a whole different feeling than, being up by 3 or being in a tied game against a team that really should struggle to put points up on the board. You kind of think about the game last night, right, with Kansas City and Denver. And, Denver had that lead. They had that small lead. They were kind of like there, but they just couldn't punch it in the end zone. And you just felt like, hey, you can't punch it in the end zone against Kansas City. You're going to end up losing this game. So I think that's the key for us as well, is what we've seen lately for the Bills is keeping the Niners out of the end zone, holding them to field goals. If we can do that, then I think we will build a lead in this game, 7, 10 plus points, and, kind of maybe glide from there. But from my standpoint, it's start fast, come out early, start fast. Brian Daboll, for a lot of criticism he's received in specific games and in different situations, beginning of games are usually not his issue. He usually comes out first series, and first series for him are typically pretty good. We saw it in the Houston playoff game. We saw it, Josh Allen receiving the touchdown, right, in the couple games ago. So first series is big. The Bills have won the toss, I think, the last 2 games, which we hadn't won the toss at all yet to the beginning of the season. So I also do like if the Bills win the toss, deferring, putting the Niners on on the field first and getting the ball to start the second half. I think that could be like a sneaky kind of a sneaky underrated part of this game potentially if we do win the toss tonight.
Now, I've always thought that if you win the toss, why would you put your defense out there an extra drive? Keep your defense. Don't make them play a 60-minute game. Make them play a 55-minute game. If your offense can take the ball 6-7 minutes on the first drive and score, you've saved your defense's legs for 7 minutes. But that's just a small thing with the coin toss and how my brain operates. Judge, what are some other big points you want to make about tonight's game?
Well, I really like this comment from Matthew Montgomery. He says Nick Mullens is very likely to turn the ball over. I think Nick Mullens is unlikely to turn the ball over, in my opinion. I think he's one of the more conservative quarterbacks with the ball. But that being said, if you can get pressure on him, we do need to win the turnover battle, because I think if you do get pressure on him, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. He will throw up some floaters. So number one, win the turnover battle. That is one way. And don't turn the ball over yourself. And one of the points Dave kept saying is like, okay, we need to get out to a hot start. We need to force them to kick field goals. And at the same time, we also, after our hot start, we need to continue to score touchdowns and not settle for field goals. And part of that is we need to stop being dumbasses once we get past the 50-yard line. We need to stop taking offsides penalties. We need to stop taking false start penalties. We need to stop fumbling snaps. When we get past that 50-yard line, we got to execute on prime time, and we need to score touchdowns. If we score touchdowns and they kick field goals, this game ain't close. I know that sounds simple and easy to do, but the Buffalo Bills are capable of doing it if they execute. All they got to do is execute. Come out there and play to the best of your abilities, because our roster is better than their depleted roster.
All right, we've got a super chat coming in here, and I got this one up for you guys. Eric Swetlick, after W tonight, what are the thoughts on the playoff run? 3 seed needed after Pitt and KC. Who's the X factor tonight? Andre Roberts, special teams TD. I don't mind that. I love an Andre Roberts TD if we could finally get one. But the thoughts on the playoff run, I mean, if we win tonight, we're going into Pittsburgh's game with momentum. And at the very least, you could be in contention for that 2 seed. But I think about it, would you rather have Kansas City to have the bye or Pittsburgh to have the bye? Which team can you go into their stadium for the AFC Championship game and win? Would you rather have another team take out Kansas City in the first round? Because I think Pittsburgh is much more beatable than Kansas City. So what are you guys thinking about these top 3 seeds? And we'll start with Judge.
I'd rather have Kansas City have the bye. And here's why. I think that there's something to be said about that week off. And I think that a team like Kansas City with a week off might come out a little sloppy. You saw last year they came out against Houston really sloppy, and Houston got out to that giant lead, and then Kansas City eventually overcame it. So I think your hope would be if Kansas City gets that bye and you play in that wild card week and you win in that wild card week, and you carry that momentum over to a team that hasn't played in a week and probably played their backups week 17. So their starters haven't played in 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Like, I know it sounds a little crazy. I'd rather have Kansas City have the bye and have our team ride in the momentum train going into a Kansas City team that's playing cold, because I think that gives the Buffalo Bills a better opportunity to win.
I like what Pierre says in the comment section, Tilt, that KC not having the bye gives them more chances to not be in the AFC Championship game. And like I said, I think Pittsburgh's much more beatable in that divisional round. What do you think, Tilt?
I mean, for me, it's I'm going to disagree with Judge on this one. I'd rather Pittsburgh have the bye. I want Kansas City to have another opportunity to lose a game. And if the Bills happen to make their way into the AFC Championship game, I would much rather take on Pittsburgh in Heinz Field than I would Kansas City and Arrowhead. And that's not because I think Pittsburgh's going to be easy to beat. I just think that that's a better chance for the Bills to win that game, and it gives Kansas City one more opportunity to lose. Look, I thought I picked Kansas City as my Super Bowl winner this year, and they didn't look that great as far as in the red zone last night against Denver, but they still put up over their season average in yards. So it was just a matter of not executing in the red zone for them last night. They were still moving up and down the field at will against the Broncos. This is against Pittsburgh. If I have the choice to take on Pittsburgh or Kansas City and give Kansas City one more chance to lose before we would potentially have to face them. Also, by the way, shout out to the guy who did the super chat, Eric. One of my bold predictions on our show Monday with Bot was that Andre Roberts would break a touchdown this week. That was my hot take, whether it was a punt
is it
or
a punt or a return? Give specifics.
Either. Okay. Okay. Because I think it's kind of like harder to do. I'll say a punt return. I think a punt return is harder to break than a kick return. So I'll increase the level of difficulty to make the take a little bit more of a blue flame. And we'll say he goes punt return touchdown tonight.
And I'll say what the super chat after that said that Tyrod Johnson was going to have a big game. And I think that's a player flying under the radar who could have a big game, because if the Buffalo Bills are playing nickel a lot and San Francisco is a team that likes to run the football, what is one of the things that Tyrod Johnson does well? He's pretty good in run support. So that is something that could be pretty interesting if he gets a chance, if they do a lot of nickel. I think Tyrod Johnson could be a guy that we look at for this game. We're like, wow, he just had his AJ Klein game, even though he's been playing better the last couple of weeks. Maybe Tyrod Johnson could have that AFC Defensive Player of the Week and make some big plays, maybe force a fumble.
That would be a hot take. That would be a hot take. Tyrod Johnson, AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
With the white face mask, guys.
The white on white.
Oh,
the white on white. Now, the only thing I will say is when we go all white, I wish we would do the blue socks, because the white socks, it's too much Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper. It's too much Stormtrooper. Maybe 5, 6. Oh, there goes the helmet of helmets. 5, 6 years ago, maybe even closer to 8, Boise State went to play Georgia, and it was Stormtroopers versus Red Power Rangers. And I don't like the white Stormtrooper look. It just has never been a good jersey combo for me. But if anything happens, bold prediction from me, they're going to look good tonight out there in the desert. And I'm going to jump off here in about 8 minutes, guys, so I can drive from my office to make sure. Well, the biggest part is I have to make sure that the 5-year-old gets her boots on before we haul her out the door. And that could take half an hour. Another super chat coming in. Let's get this one up here. And that says, Steelers without Dupree and D. Bush at linebacker can't run the ball, have played 4 backup QBs, and are 6-0 in 1-score games. We will beat Pitt next week. I don't disagree, and I would love to talk more about that, but I want to take it one game at a time. We'll be part of the process. As Tilt said, take it one game at a time. How about APO? The Bills released a video this week on YouTube talking about Josh Allen and his grandma and all the fans who donated in support of her. And he brought this up again, APO, adjust, persevere, overcome. It is a perfect thing that fits in with the process, in my opinion. So tell me, and I'm going to shoot from the hip here on a question. I really don't have a question here. How Josh Allen's development has fit in with the process here. Judge, go for it.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to thank Ryan Teal for the super sticker. And also, John, I'm with you. I think we're going to beat Pittsburgh next week at home. But, I just think it's just the marriage. It's the perfect marriage of coach, quarterback, and community. I mean, I was totally for Josh Rosen on draft day, but I think a guy like Josh Rosen probably would have been eaten alive in a community like Buffalo. As much of a Colin Cowherdian thing that is to say, it's just that mindset that Sean McDermott brings to this team in that process. It literally is just embedded in every single one of these players. And I think that's one of the reasons why when I predicted the Bills schedule this year, I said the Bills were going to go 9-7. They were going to win the AFC East, and they were going to be a better team than they were the year before, despite the fact that they had one loss. And they're sitting here, after the Chargers game at 8-4. I never in my mind, looking at how tough our schedule was would have thought that this is how good this team would be. But that mindset that Sean McDermott instills, that culture that Sean McDermott instills, the APO that you're talking about, that Josh Allen believes in, overcoming first that rotator cuff injury, and now he's dealing with an MCL sprain. So overcoming injuries and playing through those things as well. Tremaine Edmonds doing that as well. Ed Oliver doing that as well this year. John Brown trying his best to do that this year as well. The fact, 8-3. I didn't mean to say 8-4. I apologize. That was a misspeak. If I just jinxed it, I apologize.
Let's edit that out.
Yeah, I mean, that's Sean McDermott. There's not a lot of football teams that truly do take it week. Everyone says they take it week by week, but not a lot of people truly do. The Buffalo Bills are truly one of those teams where Pittsburgh's not even a twinkle in their eye yet. The only people thinking about Pittsburgh right now is the advanced scouts that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane put into the work scouting the Steelers. Everyone else is fully 100% concentrated on the Arizona 49ers right now.
All right, Matthew Montgomery coming into the chat section. How can we get a blowout win? We need a blowout win. Well, I don't think we need a blowout win. We want a blowout win.
Pierre's not happy about it, by the way. He is coming at you. He's not happy about that 8-4 comment.
A perfect marriage between Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, and the city of Buffalo gets us a blowout win. How? Josh has got to throw the ball all over the yard tonight. And defense, maybe a scoop and score, maybe a pick six from Trey Day. That's how we get a blowout win, right?
We get a blowout win by doing that, and by both Bot and my hot takes, hot bold predictions coming true. Josh plays great. The defense gets a touchdown, and maybe special teams also gets a touchdown. So, we don't need all of that to happen to get a blowout win, but I guess it comes down to, for me, a blowout win in this game would probably be winning by 2 touchdowns, something like that, because I don't necessarily think there's going to be a ton of points in this game. Like I said before, I don't think the Bills even need to score 30 to win this game. I'll save my prediction for the end. I already made it on Monday, but I do think that something like a 10 to 14 point win would feel pretty good to me in a game like this, especially because of all the mental hurdle you have to overcome. We talked about it with the Patriots game earlier this year, right? You got to overcome that hurdle of, even if the team's not as good as you are, they've beaten you so many times, and that just to win the game felt like a big burden off your shoulders. To win the game tonight on Monday Night Football, you get that Monday night kind of burden off your shoulders. Let's be real. We're going to be happy no matter what if we win this game, I think. But 10 to 14 points to me feels like maybe in this type of game could be a blowout.
Judge, I'm going to save the super chat for you guys for when you guys get off here in 3 minutes, because I'm going to give you my prediction tonight. And I said on the show Monday that my score prediction, I kind of pulled it out of midair, would be like 35-23 Buffalo. That would be a blowout, but I want to update it because my bold prediction was I want to see Tyler Bass kick one from 61 yards. So I think he could. I think if we're up enough, the coaching staff could give him a shot to kick one quite a distance. Just to see if he can get his confidence up from that plus 60 range. So 38, 23, 24 Buffalo, and they're going to throw the ball all over the yard would be my bold prediction there. So, guys, I'm going to let you go. Go Bills, and have a good rest of the night, and I'll tune in when I get my 5-year-old home, and hopefully that's not within a half an hour. It is within the half an hour and not more than that. So, go Bills.
Godspeed, Jeff. Godspeed. All right. While Jeff signs off here, I do have something that I've been wanting to show the people for some time now. So let's just, Jeff's gone. Let's just here are my primetime pictures of the week. First of all, this guy over here on the left who looks like I'm not going to say chubby. I'm going to say he looks like Seth MacFarlane with who's just gaining mass. I'll use the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" quote over here, shaving his chest into a Bills logo. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look at this guy on the left here. And then on the right, that is in fact our QB1 at a young, ripe age of like 9 or 10, rocking a San Francisco 49ers jersey. So if the Buffalo Bills want to win in a blowout today, Josh Allen needs to have that picture in his locker. And he needs to let it fuel him. His parents, his most awkward, embarrassing stage of his life was him wearing that San Francisco 49ers jersey. And he needs to let that fuel him, and he needs to go off today to make sure everyone burns that photograph from existence. But we got John coming in here with a great comment. He says, Judge nailed it. Our young stars, Josh, Ed, Matt, Maine, even Trey, have battled injuries and adversity. Huge going forward for them all. I think that is, a great way to look at it. But it is Yeah, Josh Allen to me is the one that stands out the most. By the end of the season, our starting quarterback will have played through a non-throwing arm, rotator cuff injury, and an MCL sprain. So that to me is pretty indicative of what we have at quarterback. A guy who can take all those shots and still, fingers crossed, knock on wood, still play effectively through 16 games. So that's definitely something that I'm pretty excited about. All right. We got about 15 minutes left. And my question to you, the one name that we haven't mentioned yet that I think we need to mention in the show, and a couple of people have mentioned it so far, is Cole Beasley. What are the number of targets that you will need from Cole Beasley with San Francisco's nickel corner being out, San Francisco's fourth corner as well in Mosley being out, Jaquiski Tart not playing? They're very low in depth at safety. How many touches do you need from Cole Beasley, especially given the fact that he was a pretty big-time playmaker in prime time when he was a Dallas Cowboy? What threshold do you need for him to get targeted tonight?
Well, I think if we're saying that Josh might throw the ball 40 times tonight, and if that's kind of the route we're going with our projection for the offense, then I would say he needs to be somewhere in that 12 to 14, 12 to 15 on the high end amount of targets. And if he can haul in 8, 9, 10 of those, that's going to be obviously a great night. And if he does haul in 8, 9, 10 targets, then we are probably doing pretty well in this game. And he may score multiple times tonight if that's the case. But I think if you pepper, if Josh Allen's throwing the ball 40 times, you're going to have 10, 12-ish targets to Beasley, another 10, 12 to Diggs. They should eat up a vast majority of the targets you have through the air, and then whatever else kind of in the balance, a couple to Gabe Davis, a couple to Knox. Maybe you get one of these push passes to McKenzie, but those two guys really need to eat up, 75, 80% of the targets in my mind.
Yeah, I will say that for me, 10 is a minimum. Anything less than 10, I will be upset. 15 is my magic number. I want to see 15 or above. And an even hotter take here, I want to see 6 to 8 targets in the first half. No more of this. All right, at halftime, we figure out we need to feed the ball to Cole Beasley. No, give the ball to Cole Beasley early. I like what Spin says. I think Cole should have 30 catches today. Make Cole Beasley your goddamn offense. Make that man. That should be Josh Allen's first read on every play is Cole Beasley. Look for him early. Look for him often. 6 to 8 in the first half, 15 plus total is what I want to see from Cole Beasley today.
Well, let me run this by you.
Just be unacceptable for anything less.
Let me run this by you. This is a stat line he had in a game this year: 12 targets, 11 receptions, 112 yards. Would you be okay with that? That was against
I'd
the
be
Jets
okay with that.
Won 18 to 10.
I think I'd be okay with that because that would show that he was used not just, the volume wasn't just there, but the effectiveness was there. So the way they were using him was effective as well. Yeah, I'd take that.
Okay. And then the game against Arizona, we go to that game. There's the other 100-yard game, 11 receptions, 109 yards, 13 targets. So very similar stat lines. He led the team in receiving in both of those games. He had the touchdown against Arizona, obviously, but I think that what you're saying is high because that would pretty much be a season and a career high for him in both. If he eclipses 11 receptions, he's going to be over 100 yards. That could be a career day for him. And you're right. He's made good plays in primetime. We all remember that play where he kind of curled around and kind of pinned the ball against his helmet when he was on Dallas. I believe that was a primetime game. Pierre says, last time Bills played 49ers, we put up 40 plus. I can see another 40 plus. Mullens is not able to see much drives. I don't know, man. 40 plus is a lot.
Their head coach last time was Chip Kelly, and their defensive coordinator was the former Bills linebackers coach. I can't remember his name. The linebackers coach under Rex Ryan and Mike Pettin. I just can't see the Buffalo Bills on a Kyle Shanahan coach team coming out there and getting enough possessions to put up 40 plus. I just don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for it. I would be pumped if we did it. If Lee Smith was inactive today, I'd be 100% on board with you. But I just don't know if that's the plan the Buffalo Bills are going with today. I just don't know. It seems to me like the Buffalo Bills are going to want to play a tight game and trust the fact that in the fourth quarter, Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Nick Mullens. But that would involve the game being close until the fourth quarter. I don't see the Buffalo Bills trying to win this game running away.
I mean, I don't like that though. That would make me feel uneasy.
Yeah.
Like I want to take the 49ers out of their bread and butter as early as possible. I want to make them throw the ball. Look, I mean, this is an extreme, but look what happened in the NFC Championship game last year. Green Bay gets down and the 49ers run for like 300 yards. It's like you got to take them out of that game plan, or at least make him, at least make them have to throw more than they want to. Like that to me is the way you got to do it. And by getting a lead early and not necessarily trying to run away with it, but like don't go into a shell, right? If you're up by 7, there's no reason for you to stop throwing the ball aggressively and trying to put up more touchdowns. Like that's what I don't want to see.
Yeah,
Frank talking.
Frank's talking about me. Listen, Frank, that's not my idea. I go back and rewind it to our pregame show on Thursday, where my take was I want to see Josh Allen throw the ball 50 plus times, and I never want to see the Buffalo Bills run the ball on first down. But all of those hopes were dashed when Lee Smith was made active. To me, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to come out with a similar game plan to the one they came out with against the San Diego Chargers. I really do. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see it. But I just I just don't know if the Buffalo Bills, with the absence of John Brown, are going to come out here and try to spread them out and try to just cook them like they did the LA Rams and like they did the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't see the Buffalo Bills trying to do that today.
Did we miss a super chat from Eric? I thought we had put that one up, but let me just pull it up again.
Yeah, apologies if we did.
No, I see this one. I think maybe that's what he's talking about. So, who's the X Factor tonight? Maybe we could talk about that a little bit. He says Andre Roberts. You said Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley and Teron Johnson are my keys to this game.
Yeah,
the nickel in the slot.
It's like mirror images, right? Just from either side of the ball. Look, X Factor tonight. I want to see Trey play well in prime time. I want to see him make a play against Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's been kind of the belle of the ball since he's come back from injury. He's going to be a tough. He's a great player. We both loved him in the pre-draft process. So I'd love to see Trey make a play on Deebo, like whether it's a key pass breakup or maybe a forced fumble on him or something. And I think Trey, he shined in that Steelers primetime game last year when he made the 2 interceptions. So I'd love to see him, make a big impact play early in the game to get some momentum for the Bills. So I'd really like to see Trey in a game where I'm hoping that the Niners are throwing more than they should be and giving him a chance. And then on offense, for me, it's going to be, you say Cole Beasley, but I want to see Stephon Diggs kind of rebound. Not that he had a bad game last week, but his yardage totals were down. I think he had 7 for 39. If the Bills are going to air it out 40 times, like we're hoping they do, and they're going to throw a lot, I want to see Diggs have a monster game on primetime because I want the people who are sitting there talking about how great Justin Jefferson is, and he is, to remember that we still have Stephon Diggs. And although his yards per catch numbers aren't what Jefferson is, he's on pace to get over 1,000 receiving yards likely after tonight's game. Hopefully he only needs 55 more and he should easily clear 100 catches for the year. So I want to see Diggs have a big game on primetime. Pierre says X Factors, Bills, Edmonds, 49ers, Jordan Reed.
Actually, I got some visuals to go along with this one. No one tell the Buffalo Bills what their logo is in it.
Buffalo Fanatics, what's going on is the kingpin. So big game tonight. But there's one player that I haven't heard anyone say to watch out for. And when healthy, he's probably top 3, top 5 at his position. And that's Jordan Reed. We have to watch out for Jordan Reed. Yes, we have the Deebo Samuels. Yes, we have the Raheem Mosterts. But don't sleep on Jordan Reed. The Bills, they've kind of, given up some yards to the tight ends. So we have to most definitely watch out for that. And the only other thing we really have to watch out for is the first 2 drives of the 49ers. because it seems as if the 49ers, their scripted plays, I'll say it like that, is where they have their most success. And then after that, it just feels as if they're trying to piece drives together. So if we can make sure to take advantage of those first 2 drives and stop the Niners, at least on those first 2 drives, I think we have a tremendous, chance to win this game.
So, Dave, can Jordan Reed take the 49ers higher tonight? I don't know. I didn't mean to do that. No, the other ones.
He could, but think about. I get what Pierre's saying, and Jordan Reed, when he's healthy, he's a very good tight end. Now, he's not a top 5 tight end in the league anymore.
I think he used to be. I think was the point
he used to
trying
be.
To make. Yeah.
Yes, he used to be. He's had many concussions. I'm happy for the guy that he's still playing because after all those concussions for him to still be playing. But Pierre's right. On any given night, that guy could have a big game, and he had a couple good games earlier in the season. The one thing that I would say is Hunter Henry last week had 7 catches for 67, 70 yards, something like that. But did it ever feel like he was making a huge impact on the game to you? They seem like hollow yards, hollow receptions. So as long as we don't give up big, important plays to Jordan Reed, when it matters, whether it's a touchdown to tie the game or take the lead or something like that, I'm okay if he gets, his 5 or 6 catches or whatever. I think the key is don't let him make the huge impact play to change the course of the game, right? That's my point.
Yeah. And I think the big thing for this game, whether it's Jordan Reed, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Raheem Mostert, any of their running backs, McKinnon out of the backfield, is this. The Buffalo Bills need to get to the quarterback. Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison, AJ Epinesa, Quentin Jefferson, Ed Oliver. You can't let Nick Mullens pull like a Sam Darnold back there, and despite the fact that he's not the most athletic guy in the world, shimmy out of sacks. Because how many times do we see the Buffalo Bills get broken over those plays that look like they're dead, and the quarterback just throws up a prayer to some guy who's chilling at the line of scrimmage, and that guy goes and gets 20, 30 yards a yak? The Buffalo Bills can't have Jordan Reed do that to them. They can't have Raheem Mostert to them. They can't have Deebo Samuel do that to them this game. When they get to Nick Mullens, they have to take him down. And they have to get to Nick Mullens, or these dump offs could be deadly, because this team struggles to tackle in the open field. And they have been beaten on these big plays before. We saw Austin Eckler do it to us a couple times in that Chargers game.
Yeah, and that scares the hell out of me. These dump offs to the likes of Mostert. I think Tevin Coleman's going to be. Is Tevin Coleman? I think he's playing, and Jerick McKinnon too. So they've got guys they can rotate in. So yeah, I know we're kind of getting towards the end here. So
prediction time.
Prediction time. Yeah. All right, I'll start. Look, I said it Monday. I'm going to stick to my same prediction. I think that while I would love to see a Bills blowout, I'm going to be happy with a win tonight, just because I want to get this Monday Night Football sort of drought, just whatever you want to call it, out of the system. I do think it will be a closer game than maybe people are thinking. Vegas thinks it's only going to be 1-2 point game. I think also the fact that we're not going up against Anthony Lynn this week, and I made that point earlier, we're going up against one of the best young coaches in the league, in Kyle Shanahan. He's not going to make some of the in-game management mistakes that we saw last week to kind of really never let the Chargers all the way back in it. You can't do that tonight. You're not going to have that tonight with Shanahan. So I do think the Bills will come out on top, and I'm predicting a 24-23 Bills win tonight. Maybe
I might not survive that. I might not
Tyler Bass field goal at the end. Bills are down 23-21, and he boots it through for a 24-23 win.
I might not survive that. I'm going to say a couple of comments before I get to my prediction. Rico says our Hoggies need to hold their own tonight. I agree. I think the trenches, that's how San Francisco beat the Rams. Dominate them up front on the offensive line, dominated them up front on the defensive line. They took control of that game, and that's how they beat a better team. So the Buffalo Bills have to dominate in the trenches tonight. Brendan Pronto says, Judge Mathis, you're giving me flashbacks to the playoff game last year. Listen, guys, this game is being aired on ESPN tonight, so I need you to brace yourself for two things. This game is being played on ESPN, and it's being played in Arizona. So you are going to see two things He says hold their water, hold their water, hold their weight. Whatever. I don't know. Is that the same thing? I don't know. I don't know if that's the same thing or not. I'm saying they got to hold their own. But anyway, this game is being played on ESPN in Arizona. The last time the Buffalo Bills played on ESPN, Deshaun Watson eluded that sack, and the Houston Texans came back and won that playoff game. And the last time we played in Arizona, it was Hail Murray. So Bills fans, brace yourself for both of those highlights tonight. And yeah, Rico, you didn't have the water, the dripping. You had like a squirting type of deal going on with the water there. So I wasn't sure where you were going with it. I wasn't sure if it was serious. I wasn't sure if it was sexual. I didn't really know what was going on there. So I apologize for that. But my prediction for the game is this: Buffalo 27, San Francisco 23. Fourth quarter, Josh Allen takes over, leads the Bills on a game-winning drive. The Buffalo Bills score the game-winning touchdown in the last minute of the game, and then hold off a Hail Mullens to beat.
Can he even throw it that far?
They might have to put in CJ Beathard in there to throw up the game. But before we head out, whose name did I get wrong? I just keep screwing up. I was doing really well the first half of the show.
I know one name I'm going to correct you on for future. It's Jake Kumaro.
Oh, wow. Okay. What do I keep saying? Crumaro?
Yeah. I'm just going to put that out there for future use when he makes a huge play tonight.
All right. Well, I mean, somebody earlier, I called him Josh Allen. I should have called him Captain Clutch. All right. I'm not even taking
okay.
That one.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before me and Dave give our Go Bills, I want to have a little shout out here to one of our fans on Facebook. His name is Corey Ryan. Every week he puts together these great hype videos. So I want a little shout out to Corey here. I'm going to play his video before we sign out.
Well, now that we've defended our dirt, we're 8-3, still running the AFC East, and heading out to Arizona in primetime to shut down the Niners. I'm sure JE17's ready to drop some nuggets on his hometown team. Let's just hope the boys can hang on to the rock and not let them rob our bank to make it rich. We need to take advantage of their minor injuries and strike gold. And you know our defense has been Mullens over how to take down their young prospect or make sure that Mostart doesn't make the most of his start. We don't care if we're dealing with Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, Brendan Shanahan, or Shanahan Elizabeth. We don't care if we play in Arizona, San Francisco, or Joe Montana's backyard. We're coming to take care of business in primetime. And you know the Bills Mafia will be staying up late and going to work tired, so we can sit on the couch and show for our boys. Buffalo head to toe. Let's go.
Love it.
All right. Listen up. I got it on. Dave, you're not technically allowed to show your shirt anymore. You can't show that. No. No.
Well, it's been made. It's been
Air
made.
Raid Allen. Yeah. We've already got our money. It's fine. Air Raid Allen tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, go Bills. When you see us on Thursday, we might have a new name for all we know. So stay tuned for that announcement. We're going to see if maybe we can just replace the S with a Z. I don't know what's going on, but we will figure it out.
The Zumba guys, maybe?
The Bills guys, like 3 Z's. We can have like a bumblebee with a red slash through it instead of a buffalo.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we solicit the viewers?
Soliciting's a crime, Dave.
Why don't we request some options, some name suggestions, because we can no longer be the Bills guys, unfortunately. The Zumba guys. Yep.
There we go.
It could be it. That could be it. I wish I didn't say that. I wish I didn't say that because now that's probably going to be it. But we'll take suggestions on the new name for the Bills guys because
Bot talks charging buffaloes.
Bot talks buffaloes. Gonna have to be his.
Nap knows. Nap knows.
What if Nap changed his to Nap knows dollar bills? Would they
probably
get on for that?
I don't know. At this point, I want to see if we can just get away with turning the S into a Z. The Bills Zumba guys.
Do we want to be those guys that just put the Z on the end of things? We could be those guys, I guess. I mean,
I'm telling you, and then three Z's, and then Nap knows hose. Don't tell Nap that he'll slap a bitch. But anyway, we got like a bumblebee instead of a buffalo with like a red streak through it, and it's the Bills with 3 Z's guy.
Oh my God. I don't
No?
know, man.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm not totally dismissing it. I'm not totally dismissing
All right. So the Horned Mafia Bros. I don't know about that one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, Rico will come to you post game, and I promise he will be hopefully he will be just as wet as the emojis he's using in his post
God.
tonight. So Rico will be
It's
coming
late
to you
night,
post game.
so who knows?
I don't know about this one either. I don't know about this one. The Belo guys. I don't know about that one. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, go team from Buffalo.
Go team from Buffalo.